Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is brought to you by you. If you want to learn how to support our show, go to patreon.com/laststandmedia. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Punching Up. This is episode 4, and we're coming in hot right off the heels of a Nintendo Direct surprise. We're here right now on Wednesday, and pretty damn good Direct, if I do say. But before we get into that, we got to introduce our lineup here. Starting out, Mama Micah, how are you this morning?
I'm doing all right. I was telling Dagan that this was just a perfect storm of reasons I shouldn't have gotten up early. The dogs kept me up all night. They were just going in and out of the blankets. Rush is kicking me in the back of the head. It was quite a scene all night. And then it's a rainy, cloudy, cold day here. So it's really just not a great day to have been up early, but it is a great day for a Nintendo Direct, kind of boost the spirits a bit. So I'm very excited to talk about it because I think that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been interesting here the last few mornings at my house because we're watching my aunt's dog, who does not like men, and so every morning he would growl at me. He isn't gonna like attack me, but he growls at me or whatever. Last night something flipped in his brain. He loves me now. So, but he's leaving today. So,
oh, of course,
it's been a little, weird. Whatever, that's fine. Anyway, I don't know why I even got into that. Dagan. Hello, how are you this morning?
Good morning. I was telling Mike right before we started, I have to do a eye cookie test. Do I have any sleepies in there? I don't know. Like I usually have time to groom and check myself over, but yeah, we really are coming in hot. But yeah, that was there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to be careful. The eye crusties, they'd be very gross on the top of the episode. This allergy, when it's allergy season, I can wake up and it's like just falling from my eyes.
Even open your eye.
It's a curtain.
I'm like not John the Baptist, the Apostle Paul. Seeing the crust from his eyes at that moment. So it's bad news. But today wasn't so bad. Gene, hello. I'm seeing already and a lot of great comments about Jack in the frame regularly. We like this, and so I just saw him a second ago. But how are you today?
Starting off strong. Jack was on camera. And just getting off the back of Final Fantasy 16 coverage. Dropped my review. 3.5 out of 4 stars. It's not perfect.
Yeah. I heard that, it's a total failure because it scored an 88 on Metacritic. So it's a bad game. It's
the worst game of all time ever because it's 88. Yeah.
It sucks. Yeah. So that's unfortunate. I was excited about it.
Yeah, the Metacritic actually lines up with my score, which is 87.5 if you translate 3.5 stars out of 100. So, and I would actually say that that's actually pretty good number for the game, I think. So
yeah, I'm very excited. My copy is coming tomorrow, but then fortunately, and this is a good segue, Dagan and I will be at Too Many Games this weekend, and so I won't have a ton of time to play, unfortunately, but
you'll be bringing your PS5 though.
That's right. I am bringing my PS5 with me for the hotel room at night. I've never done that before.
Oh yeah.
But real quick, while we're talking about Too Many Games, before we get into the Nintendo Direct, Dagan and I will be there, and we've got 2 different events going on. If you're going to be in the Philly area or you want to come out for it, on Friday at 6 p.m., we're doing a meet and greet. That's like an official one where you get a cool little booth or whatever. And you guys got to show up for this. I don't want to be embarrassed at our first official meet and greet. So make sure you show up, hang out with Dagan and I. And then we have a panel on Saturday at 8 p.m. at the Necco stage. Again, this is Too Many Games, which is at the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center. And if you like retro games, if you like Nintendo games, let me tell you, there are a lot of them at this convention. Dagan, how are you feeling about it?
I'm excited. Dust, I always say to Colin, first of all, we have to fill that hall. So come out.
Yes.
I'm telling everyone Colin's going to pay you for attending.
Okay, good.
Is that true or not? I don't know. But I could say that because he's not within earshot.
Sure.
It's possible. It's a potential happening. The other thing I always say to Kyle for these LSM events is I'd say if you're within a 6-state radius of Pennsylvania, you have to come, or else there's no excuse. Further than that, you probably should come. I might give it a pass. But if you're within 6, 7 states away, right? Anywhere, the entire Northeast, there's no excuse. East Coast, you should probably be there. Extending to Midwest, maybe Chicago will be the marker.
Yeah.
It would be nice, guys. I'm just saying.
There's very few excuses. People are like, oh, my wife is having a kid that due dates that day. I'm like, I don't care. Bring the baby.
It might not come on time.
It doesn't matter. Have the baby at the convention center. There's no problem with that. We can make that. We can arrange for that. So yeah, this weekend, June 23rd through 25th, but our events are on the 23rd and 24th. So we look forward to seeing you guys there. And then last but not least, of course, we are on all the different podcast platforms, whether it's iTunes, Spotify. I don't think iTunes exists anymore. I think it's just called podcasts. So not iTunes. We're on all of those apps. So if you could please leave us a rating and review, we would really appreciate it. Really helps us out. And of course, over on YouTube, give us the thumbs up, leave a comment, and just to get that algorithm going, and subscribe on the Last Stand YouTube channel. I really would like to get the channel over 100,000 at some point so I can get a plaque. And then I don't know what you do with it at that point. Just get one of those YouTube plaques. That'd be cool. So make sure to subscribe if you don't. Now, guys, let's get into this Nintendo Direct. Before we start, though, I got to say, it's funny how these Nintendo Directs work, because usually there's always an ongoing rumor about a Nintendo Direct. A rumor has probably started right now for the next one, even though this one just aired less than an hour ago. But the rumor mill is always going. This one felt like it really did almost come out of nowhere. Late last week, we were hearing some rumors that there would be a Direct in a few days and that there might be some new Mario stuff, some Pikmin stuff. And then out of the blue, was it Tuesday that they announced the Direct? Does anyone remember what day? It was like a real quick turnaround.
It was Tuesday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Monday.
So
Monday, Tuesday. Yeah.
Tuesday, I guess that Tuesday's yesterday. Damn. Yeah.
Today's Wednesday. So, yeah, it's a long week, man.
I've lost track of everything at this point. But
I thought yesterday was Thursday, dude. So you're doing okay so far.
Yeah. So 24-hour turnaround on this, and a nice morning Direct, as we were talking about, which I always think it's funny that for us it's a nice 10 a.m. over in the West Coast. They're getting up at 7 in order to watch this thing. So
doesn't seem fair.
So let's go ahead. Instead of just getting into our overall thoughts, I think we can break down all the different announcements and talk about what we want to talk about, and then give like our overall thoughts at the end. So the event opened up with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This is the DLC for the game. The DLC is called The Hidden Treasure of Area Zero, and it's broken into 2 parts, the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc. And I gotta be honest, I don't know a lot about this game. I know about all the problems at launch that kept me away from it. I'm a very bitter Pokemon fan. I wouldn't say X, but I am frustrated with the state of the series and how these games keep coming out and they're disappointing. And I know a lot of people thought that Scarlet and Violet had a lot of potential and a lot of good ideas, but it just wasn't able to execute on them. And so seeing the footage for this, I thought, this doesn't look too bad, but I've been deceived before. So I guess, Gene, I'll throw this to you because I don't know. Have you played this before? I think you'd be the only one in the crew that's played.
I played the hell out of Pokemon Violet.
Whoa.
And I enjoyed it. I think it does nail a lot of it, other than the technical aspects, which is garbage. It runs like absolute trash.
I was gonna say, is it better now? Have you checked in recently?
Well, I haven't checked recently, but like I think as far as I know, they haven't updated. Please, if I need to stand corrected, I'll be stand corrected.
I'll look at and see if there's been any good updates real quick.
Yeah, but the game itself is really great. It's kind of like a dream Pokemon game where you run around and you're just catching Pokemon. And is the world design is actually pretty interesting. The story is actually not bad. Actually, I feel like it might be the best Pokemon story I've ever played. So I'm moderately excited about this. I also, by the end of it, feel like I got my fill of that game and its world. So, like when I saw the DLC, I was like, well, this is expected, but I'm not like super pumped to get into it. But when it comes out, I'll play it because it's Pokemon. Just it's like Call of Duty. You just do it, blindly, as most of us seem to do.
So I'm just quickly, we were talking about, has it been fixed? I'm looking at an article from Screen Rant on March 20th that says performance has improved, but at a cost. So it seems like they are working behind the scenes to try to fix that performance and some of the bugs. Apparently a lot of the bugs have been fixed, but to me, it was always that performance aspect where you just...
Yeah. I never had a lot of the bugs either. But it was the performance, and if you guys know me, I'm not one to complain about performance, 30 frames per second, blah blah blah. But the stuttering and the frame drops in Pokemon are just unacceptable, considering the game's doing a lot, but so is Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and that game is gorgeous, so, and runs well. So
it feels a little bad that I don't expect any game on Switch to run flawlessly, really, but it is kind of sad that this game isn't as good as it could be, and they're already ready to sell you some more. But again, this is Nintendo and Pokemon that we're talking about, and so they're always ready to sell you the next thing and get you on the next Pokemon. But Micah, I don't know where you're at with Pokemon. Is this DLC something that could intrigue you to dive in?
No, as soon as the direct started, what I wrote in my own notes was Pokemon something, boo. So I haven't played a Pokemon game since 3DS. I don't enjoy these. I just don't, it doesn't click with me. What I'd like to do at some point is try some of the older, like very beloved ones, because I just didn't get to experience those. But these modern ones are not for me. I've tried it. I didn't like it. I don't know what it is, because I enjoy things such as like, oh yeah, go collect everything, fill up a Pokedex. It sounds great. It sounds like something I'd enjoy, but I just don't. I'm not sure exactly where the disconnect is, but I am certainly just like, I feel like Pokemon right now is just so oversaturated for Nintendo at this point that I'm just like, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to see any more of it unless they're going to be like, hey, we're remaking some of the older ones. Otherwise, I'm just not interested.
I think you're gonna, at least for me, when I try to go back to the older ones, I really struggle with them because it's the same game but worse, basically. So, I would actually recommend like going for the newer one in my view, unless you really really want like the old style and that's what you want. But I tried going back to the older ones and it's rough. Like I fall asleep playing.
Damn, Gene. Soul Silver is perfect, and you're not gonna sway me.
I never played
one
that
way or
one,
another.
so there you go.
Whoa, not played. That's, dude. I feel like that was the peak. That remake on DS was so good. Dagan, I think we've talked about Pokemon a little bit, but I don't know. Also, you have an interesting insight that the rest of us don't have. With you have kids that may be into Pokemon. So, how did this trailer find you?
Yeah, my son grew up a big Pokemon mark. So, and he grew up learning about games by watching me play, by looking over my shoulder. He returned the favor by keeping me up to date with the Pokemon game series by me watching over his shoulder, because I never played the games myself. I mean, past the original Game Boy games, probably. So he always kept me up to date because he was always an avid Pokemon. He's a card collector too, so he collects the physical Pokemon stuff too. But he always loved the Pokemon games. But he's going to be 13 in a couple of months, and he's all but given up on the Pokemon franchise probably 6 months ago to a year ago. So those days are over. I don't think I could pay attention anymore. They were never for me, but I always enjoyed watching him enjoying the games. But now that he's given up, it seems like he's still got one toe in the water, but it's that age. He'll be going to 7th grade. So he's like giving up all the toys. He's giving up all the games, so I think this is probably it. I don't think he won't delve into this DLC. So it's over for me, I think.
Yeah. Well, people will have to let us know about the current state of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, but you're getting new content. Of course, that's always exciting. So hopefully that works out. I believe that is, I wrote down a date for everything else. I didn't write down a date for this, but I believe it is later this year. And they didn't give a specific date. So next we got a big lineup of headlines. And so I was trying to figure out how to handle this since it's a bunch of things at once. So I'll just read through what they were. And then if anything sticks out to you guys, we can talk about them individually. So Sonic Superstars, they did a big trailer for this. Not quite as exciting since we've already seen this game before, but of course it's a huge game for Switch with that audience that they definitely would want to highlight it. I can't remember how to say this game's name. Palia? This is a free-to-play farming sim game that is coming out holiday 2023. And man, Nintendo loves these farming sim games. They will put about 6 of them in every Nintendo Direct. It's become a bit of a meme at this point, I feel like, but this is one, it's very focused on multiplayer, free-to-play. Holly's only comment was, "I hate this. It looks like Fortnite Stardew Valley." So that's the input we got there. Then we got Persona 5 Tactica showing a bit of gameplay for that. We knew this was coming to Switch, and they were just showing off some new stuff for it. Another game called Myth Force, and this is a first-person RPG that's focused on co-op multiplayer. Really interesting art style, being cel-shaded, and clearly really going for a He-Man type aesthetic and vibe with this one. So that was cool. We got the announcement of the next Splatfest, which is vanilla, strawberry, or mint chip. I was telling Holly, those cowards, they still haven't done boobs or ass yet as far as the Splatfest. I mean, this is the question people really want to know. I always see that one come up on memes too. So Nintendo, maybe next month. Last but not least, Detective Pikachu 2. This comes out on October 6th. I don't understand Detective Pikachu. I saw the movie. It wasn't that bad. They did that 3DS game, and now they're doing a sequel, of course. So this is the next one. They've got Pikachu with his deep voice talking about light roast coffee, which I appreciated. So I'm sure that will sell millions of copies as well. So I don't want to put this too open-ended for you guys, but is there anything, Micah, for you in these that said, hey, this is something for me?
Yeah, Persona 5 Tactica definitely has my attention. I'm a huge Persona 5 fan. The first, kind of departure from the series that I played was Persona 5 Strikers. I wasn't sure that I'd enjoy it because I don't usually play those types of games, and I absolutely adored it. They took the Persona characters and really a fantastic story and applied it to a different genre of gameplay. So this has me intrigued for sure. This is much more my speed in terms of the gameplay, and just applying my favorite, Persona 5 characters to it, that has me very excited. And honestly, the Splatfest, I don't even have the newest Splatoon, but I kind of want it now because it's just reminding me how much fun those games are. I stopped playing Splatoon when Nintendo Online became something you had to pay for. And I was just like, because at that time, I was like, this isn't worth paying for. Nintendo Online was spotty, inconsistent, not very good. And I think it has actually improved. And so now I'm like, okay, maybe I do want this because I remember how much fun those Splatfests were. One of them, I think, was like ketchup versus mayo at one point. Like, I loved those.
It's so cute.
And which totally I would vote for vanilla. That's my favorite ice cream. So yeah, it's actually making me think like maybe I need to get back into Splatoon. It's been quite a while, but I do miss that game.
The connection is really good for Splatoon 3. They really stepped it up. Yeah, it's really smooth. It's like smoother than Halo.
So when this came up, this Splatfest, Holly said it was surprising that it's a vanilla strawberry mint and there's no chocolate. And I was thinking, do they have brown ink? Because I was thinking, is that just like the brown ink on the ground? Would that look gross? Like,
would look
or something
horrible.
like that. And I searched it. It seems like Splatoon 3 does have brown ink because I'm seeing screenshots of it. Maybe this is a fake. I don't know. But, if they do get, maybe they could do the, someone suggested here on Reddit, piss versus shit. Also an option for a future Splatfest. So, but I wonder if that is a thing, if they didn't do chocolate for that reason.
I'm going to ask man myself.
Yeah. So, okay, you know what team you're on, Gene?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, technically with Splatoon 3, we need 3 options, but we'll leave it there. Dagan.
That one's for the Lockmore edits.
Yeah, that's for the Lockmore edit. Yeah. Dagan, I thought of you immediately when I saw this Myth Force game, just as a fan of 80s cartoons and stuff like that. So, and if you want to talk about it, you can, but I'm just curious. What do you think?
Yeah, this one definitely caught my attention. It was only 4 or 5 games in, and so I was still fresh watching this. These things move at a rapid pace. I'm always, I don't know why I'm always surprised, but I'm always like, I can't keep up with this. And then when it cuts back to Takashi and Koizumi and they give you a little respite, I'm so grateful. I'm like, oh, but that's also a detractor for me because they're kind of my favorite part, how corny they are, but how delightful they are, especially like Micah was saying on this overcast day. They're just like a ray of light, these two Japanese gentlemen. But yeah, Myth Force is crazy because they're definitely going for that 80s action cartoon, Ruby Spears look. And, it's sort of a cell shading, but a very flat cell shading. But judging from the game footage, kind of crosses over into Uncanny Valley territory because never in a He-Man cartoon was the camera that dynamic, where you're seeing the character from all angles. And it's like, all right, it's going kind of outside what we grew up with in the 80s with the Super Friends cartoon and stuff. But I love the conceit. I love the idea and the concept. So this one will be, and I feel like this direct was kind of full of that. Kind of like some pleasant indie surprises as well as the main IP stuff. So that, and you know what? Sonic Superstars looks cool too. I have to say, I mean, I saw it prior to the direct, but I grew up a big Sega kid. Actually, my best friend was a big Sega kid, and I was the Nintendo guy. So we sort of divided and conquered. So dating back from the 16-bit generation, I was really all about Genesis, and Sonic was so cool because it was everything Mario wasn't. And this is a return to that, just with more polished 2.5D-ish graphics. But I love, just from the game footage that we've seen so far, I love how far the camera pulls out. The sprites get pretty tiny on screen, so the world looks really big. It looks fun. I'm really looking forward to that. And then Persona 5, every time I see anything Persona, I've said this to Colin countless times, but the Persona series is my biggest gap in gaming because I've never delved in, and I know I would love it. And now that we've covered some egregious things that I finally got to, like, the various PlayStation series that took me way too long to get to. Now that those are checked off the list, Persona is the one thing. I get so jealous every time something new comes up because the backlog, it just gets bigger. And that's not fair. It's not fair. And then Detective Pikachu, I echo what you're saying on that, Dust. So confusing for me.
I feel out of touch. I feel
so confusing.
I feel like an old guy that's seen his kid, all the kids. I remember Pikachu in my day followed you around and was a little 8-bit sprite boy. And
it's
now
trippy.
he's this.
I
he's
like
this
that it's weird, but yeah, it's like he's talking and he's a detective and he's kind of this hard-boiled film noir Pikachu that loves cop. I mean, they should just make him smoke as well.
Yeah. Oh man, that'd be awesome. And he has a drinking problem.
And
he has a drinking problem. He's smoking all the time. That'd be fantastic. Now, Micah, you had a tweet yesterday about the boat from Wind Waker being hot. I want to know, is Detective Pikachu, does he have a potential to be hot?
Oh, I don't think so, only because it's too bizarre. Now, if they had gone with Danny DeVito for the voice, then yeah, it could have been.
That would have been cool.
But they didn't do that. It's just it's too weird. It's too weird. But I will say Myth Force, those characters were hot. All right, that was some good looking animation.
Good.
I'll give them that.
Very good. Gene, did you find any of the characters in any of these headlines hot? Or did anything else stand out to you?
I'm an ass man myself.
Yeah. Okay,
you mentioned
that's the final comment. I appreciate that.
Everything looks fine. I wasn't particularly struck by anything. Persona 5. I'm still like, I think a third of the way through. I still have never finished it, and I think now that I'm done with Final Fantasy, I think I'm actually gonna go back to Persona.
Hell yeah, dude!
Because Final Fantasy hurt my fucking fingers, because it's such an intense action game. And it would be such a pleasure to just go back to a cozy turn-based RPG. And I think I owe it to Persona 5 to finish it because it got really good. And then other stuff happened. Like I guess all the other games happened, you know. So I need to get back to it.
So this next game at the Direct, this would be my game of the Direct as far as my excitement level. And that is, they are remaking Super Mario RPG, the classic Super Nintendo game. And man, this looks awesome. I got to put the background. I've never played Super Mario RPG, so maybe my excitement is not well founded.
No,
I've always...
it is.
Okay, good. That's everyone tells me I would love it. I actually I bought a copy at an event last year, so I've been meaning to play it. And now that this got announced, I think I'm probably just going to play this. Not that I don't appreciate the old graphics. I love the old, pretty much any Super Nintendo game. I love those graphics, but there is something really special about how they did this. The characters, initially, when it does this reveal at the beginning where it shows the old graphics and then it shows Princess Peach, for a split second I thought, ooh, because her proportions are a little weird, but then it makes sense in the context of how the art style of this entire game is. So this is exciting. Yesterday it was rumored that there's a remake of a Super Nintendo game. Some people jumped to Chrono Trigger, which I thought didn't obviously want that, but I don't think that made a lot of sense. This made a lot more sense overall. So this is super exciting. It's coming out this year on November 17th. Gene, I'll throw this to you first, since you clearly said, this is a game absolutely worth being excited for.
Yeah. Speaking of Chrono Trigger, I would actually play Super Mario RPG alongside Chrono Trigger as one of the best Squaresoft games of that era or ever. Like Final Fantasy VI, Chrono Trigger, Super Mario RPG.
Dang.
And the story is incredible. All the characters are great. The princess Bowser is fucking fantastic. Gino, there's a reason why the little Pinocchio doll Gino was so requested in Smash, because he's such a beloved character and he's so powerful too. This was a great game to kind of balance like turn-based action and actual action. So like when Mario is jumping on the enemies, you have to press A to time it, and then you do more damage. So you're always engaged during turn-based battles, even when they're just going through the attack animations, because you want to land that perfect hit, and it feels so good every single time. And honestly, speaking of Final Fantasy, it's kind of like a Final Fantasy. And there's really good RPG mechanics. The story is really humorous. One of the funniest things about Super Mario RPG is that Mario remains mute. So he's pantomiming, but he still discusses things with other characters, but he will act out what he's saying, and it's so charming every single time. It's really one of the best Mario games ever made. So just on this announcement alone makes this one of the best directs ever, because the fact that they're keeping the Super Mario RPG alive, and it's difficult because it belongs to both Nintendo and Square Enix.
Yeah.
So they both have to kind of navigate that, and I feel like that's probably part of why it took forever to make. I think it looks gorgeous. I do, obviously it was jarring to see Princess at the beginning and all pixelated and everything, but I will miss that art style, this kind of claymation kind of like art style that the early 3D Super Nintendo games had, like Donkey Kong Country and Super Mario RPG, because it was all done like it looks like stop motion, like claymation, and it was gorgeous. And if they just released that, this would still be one of the best directs of all time. But the fact that it's a through and through remake, looking 60 FPS, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
This is
shocking
crazy.
how good
like the more you think about it, the more excited I get. I feel like I want to cry right now,
Yeah, dude, I really am blown away just by how good it looks. There's something about Nintendo, the way that they do some of their art direction and the graphics, just that, yeah, it's not impressive like Final Fantasy 16 is or something like that. It's the way that their graphics look so clean to me. So Dagan, as the Super Nintendo man, How do you feel about this?
I was so excited. I mean, nearly every Nintendo YouTuber knew that this was widely known going in. That was probably going to be a remake of this game. I'm not sure how they knew, but I was so excited, man, because I was thinking back to 96. I was about halfway through art school, and me and a few friends of mine, fellow animation students, all but went on sabbatical when this game came out. It was, as Gene said, it was a bad time to be an art student, a hardworking art student, because this, Chrono Trigger, Secret of Mana, and then Final Fantasy VI eventually. So we had no time for college. I all but dropped out because, I directly associated to being an irresponsible kid, but I directly associated to these games, especially this one. I fell madly in love with this game. And I was thinking back too. Well, first of all, I feel like they needed a Mario sort of tie-in with the success of the Super Mario Brothers movie. And of course, there would be another bigger companion piece for Mario that we'll talk about later. But I felt like big Mario announcements made sense for this one. But Mario RPG, I'm so excited for people to discover it for the first time, especially younger players, because it really is special. And forgive my ignorance if I'm incorrect about this, but I think it was the first big video game collaboration between two companies, which I remember how that blew our minds as kids. It was like, wait, Square, which was becoming a big thing. It was becoming a household name slowly in the West. And Nintendo are collabing to give us this Mario, and in what we thought of at that time in a Final Fantasy world, because we already loved Final Fantasy IV so much. So that was just like mind blowing, and for them to just completely do a whole remake, a whole graphical rehaul. The original is really charming, Gene, with the claymation, with that isometric view. It was just really special. No random encounters, so it was a nice access for people that were a little turned off maybe by JRPGs and the potential monotony, that it was more, had more gameplay. It was a little more actiony, for lack
That's
of
the thing. The Super Mario RPG is really at the very, very genesis of Square Enix's obsession with wanting to do action games.
Yes.
It was Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, and Super Mario RPG. All three of those games were part of the experiment. And it culminates today with Final Fantasy 16. So the DNA of Super Mario RPG is in Final Fantasy 16, honestly.
Oh, that's so cool to know.
It's a great connection.
So
I love that. Now, Micah, you love RPGs, but you're not all in on Mario. Is this the bridge here with Mario RPG?
Yeah, actually, I was very excited by this, partly because Game Grumps at one point played Super Mario RPG. And it's hysterical. It's one of their best gameplays. And pretty much anything the Grumps do, I'll watch. So I was like, this game is really like fun and just looks so enjoyable. But convenience factor, it's not something I was actually going to go and try and play myself. It just was one of those, I enjoyed watching someone else play it. I enjoyed feeling like I got to experience it a little bit. But I wasn't going to go and try and actually play this, So I am really stoked about it. Hearing, Dagan and Gene, their nostalgia for this game only has me more excited about it. But this was one that really got me looking, because my limitation with Mario games is just that I'm horrible at platformers. I'm just trash at them. And as we've mentioned before, like Mario games usually start out pretty accessible and the difficulty just ramps up, as opposed to my beloved Kirby games, which stay at like a moderate difficulty the whole way through. The way that they ramp up difficulty is with like time trials and things like that. And, that's kind of how they make it a little more challenging for advanced users, and they keep it fun for me, who's just totally awful at those games. But this is where I can enjoy. I love the Mario characters. I love that world. I'm just bad at those games. So this is definitely the perfect fusion for me to be able to enjoy Mario. I love Peach. That was very exciting. It was a little weird seeing her like not having a neck, like that initial thing of like, she doesn't look quite right. But then when Mario came out, just looking all like small and round, he was so cute. Immediately have to play this game. I'm very excited.
Yeah. Like I said, this is probably my favorite announcement of the Direct. And I can't wait, dude. And it's coming out this year, and this year has just had so many.
That's so crazy. And Micah,
amazing games.
There's not much. There's some platforming in Super Mario RPG, but it's not like timing based, or like it's a little timing based, but it's fairly easy. I mean, you watched the game on Game Grumps. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the Game Grumps, and they're also my friends too. So.
Oh my God, I would die to meet them. That's like my life's dream.
I met
Meeting
Dan.
Colin was cool, but if I got to meet the Game Grumps, that would be like the best day ever.
I've met Dan because him and Ninja's X Party came out to Maryland, so I got to meet them.
Awesome. Oh man. Yeah, I play Starbomb in the car sometimes, like with Colin, and he tolerates it.
I'm in the liner notes for the Starbomb box set. Actually, I wrote the album notes for it. So
that's incredible.
But also, this game is also fairly easy as an RPG compared to like Final Fantasy, compared to Chrono Trigger. This is the easiest out of all of them. I think only the final boss can be a little tricky, and in grand Final Fantasy tradition, there are secret bosses, and that's hard as shit. So
yeah.
But otherwise, to get through the story, it's a breeze. It's definitely meant for you to just breeze through it. It's really, really fun.
And you know what? I'm someone who puts their pride aside and can say, yeah, I'll just play the main story and be okay with it. It's how I tackle games like Octopath Traveler, and the sequel as well, of like, I will get through the main story. I will beat all the main bosses. Your super secret, ultra hard boss, you can keep it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. I'm just one of those people who's like, it's okay. I don't feel like I got shorted by any means. I enjoyed the game for what it was, but I'm not going to tackle the Dark Souls portion of it.
Yeah. And I think that boss is actually pretty hard to access too. So like you really have to go out of your way to find it.
So moving on here to this next announcement. This was a weird one because was a game announcement, but they didn't give it a title. They said it's coming next year. It's a Princess Peach game, and they showed a little bit of gameplay. It's focused on. It has this stage play aesthetic. Immediately, I thought, are they doing something Mario 3 when I saw the curtains go up? And so, yeah, you play as Peach. And honestly, the first thing I thought of when I saw the gameplay, if this makes sense, is that it kind of reminded me of that recent Kirby game. Not exact. Obviously, it's a very different type of world, but in the fact that it is 3D, but it's still linear, and you're still kind of going on a 2D plane, somewhat 2.5D. But this was, like I said, a weird announcement. I feel like they were really trying to load in the Mario right now. That they're like, just let everyone know about any Mario related project we have right now, because we just made $1 billion on a movie, and we're about to make $1 billion more on every game that we can sell people. So, Dagan, I'll go to you first. Just I'm trying to switch up who I go to first. Dagan, what did you feel about a Peach game? This isn't the first Peach game. We got that DS one a few years back.
That's right. I forgot about that.
That's how it's showing up on when I'm looking at Game Explain. Has already uploaded just this part because it's not on Nintendo's channel, and it's showing up as Super Princess Peach from 2005.
That's 2000. Yeah, so it's been a while. So it was time. I like seeing Princess Peach as the protagonist. As you said, they have to capitalize on Mario right now. I think it's smart. But yeah, don't blink during the direct or you might miss this. And
34 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
34 seconds.
It was insane. I was like, and then kind of, I get the sense that this is still deep in development. No title, not that much footage, very quick mention. Again, just to kind of cultivate that and continue that Mario excitement. And same thing with Luigi's Mansion 3DS revisited or whatever. It's just like, don't blink at that either. It was like almost like a quick nod to more Mario before the tonal shift of what would come after that. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it looks really good. It looks like the Mario game that we'll talk about in a little while, I think. Aesthetically, it seems pretty similar, just playing as a different character.
Micah, how do you feel about a new Peach game?
Yes, no, this had me over the moon. Even though they didn't show very much, there's not much for me to be excited about, but I love Peach. She's always my main in Smash Brothers. Well, Kirby and Peach. All right, those are my favorites to play as. And it is, I often joke about Super Princess Peach. Colin and I make fun of it, saying like, the game where her superpower is crying. you know?
Yeah,
so I'm
being
hoping
an emotional. It is kind of funny in a nutshell. It's like, oh yeah, we're making a female focused Mario game, and her power is emotions. Like,
yes,
take it easy
her
there,
power
Nintendo.
is mood swings. So let's hope that it's not like that again, because it just is. I think Peach is a great character. She's, bubbly, bright, fun. I mean, for a character that doesn't say a lot, but it just is like, I am all about this. I adore Peach. Oh, maybe Daisy will be in it too. That would be fun. But for the limited amount that we saw, I was very excited by it and the potential, for where they could take this, and just hoping that they don't trace back to be like, now with more tears. Like, let's hope they don't do that again. But, we'll see what happens next year as well. I'm really happy with how close most of these games are. Like, we didn't get anything that was like coming 2026. So yeah. I'll take that too as a very positive sign that they're not, dragging things out. They're not showing us things that are years and years away. Like, I can wait till next year. That's perfect. It's what I keep saying in terms of events like E3 and things like that. When people get really fatigued waiting for games, it's like, you just shouldn't have announced it. You shouldn't have announced a game that was barely started yet. So I always appreciate when developers actually wait until something is pretty close to release to tell us about it.
Gene, you wrote a very SJW feminist left-wing article about the Mario movie where you said Peach was a wartime general. And so I'm wondering, I'm wondering if you feel like, they realize there's a lot of potential with Peach. This game had to have been in development before the Mario movie came out, but it does feel like perfect timing, jokes aside, that people, I think, really connected with Peach in that movie, being a cool character that's more than just a princess to save. And exactly. So
I think the two stars of that movie were Peach and Bowser. And so with Super Mario RPG, this notion that Bowser is like interesting and like someone to get to know and like a layered character besides the guy that kidnaps a princess, that started in Super Mario RPG, and he is like a full blown like interesting character. He might that I still think that might be the best version of him besides like
he's a like, single dad,
inside story, and the Mario and Luigi RPG stories. And with Peach, I was definitely looking out for any hints of like her using her emotions, and it obviously doesn't look like they've done that. So I'm really, really super happy to see Princess Peach. I think one of, if not the first playable women character in video games, at the very least a Nintendo game to ever release. So she's one of the first ladies of gaming, and it's nice to finally see her take, quote unquote center stage, which seems to be the theme of what this unnamed Princess Peach game is. And I'm all for it. I cannot wait. I love Princess Peach. I used to have the biggest crush on her when I was in first grade. But I always think that she's been a cool character. She's always interesting and funny. She always seems to take kidnapping with like like some she's pretty casual about being kidnapped. Like she almost like wants to be.
She's a little Stockholm syndrome, maybe
a little bit. Like like everyone remembers when in Super Mario Sunshine, when Bowser's kid says, "You're my mom," and she's like, "You're my kid," and she doesn't like say no, like absolutely. She never outright denies it. She's wondering, could this actually be my kid? Like, like did that night? Was it that night?
That one night with Bowser.
That one night with Bowser, So,
think they could get Anya Taylor-Joy to voice her from going forward, or is that going to be too much?
It would be cool. I literally, it's funny that you asked that, because I literally thought, like, how would people feel if Chris Martinet was replaced? Because we all owe Chris Pratt an apology, right? I think almost everyone universally thought he'd be terrible, and once he saw the movie, he was like, actually, he was pretty good.
Yeah, so fine, yeah.
So it's like, I wonder how people would feel if like Chris Pratt just becomes the voice of Mario from now on. I don't know.
I would love to see Nintendo put down that level of scratch for voice acting. I just think that would be a baller move. It could bankrupt them.
Yeah. So yeah, super, or not super. I almost called it Super Princess Peach. Princess Peach Untitled game coming next year. I just titled it. It's called Super. but that's the name of the old one, right? Super Princess Peach 2.
Super Princess Peach, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. So I have the next two things. I'm just going to lump them together as all headlines because they were so short where they mentioned Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. This is the sequel to Luigi's Mansion, which has been only on 3DS, will be coming to Switch next year. They showed a little bit of that.
Hell yeah.
So that's nice that it won't be stuck on 3DS, but as in Nintendo fashion, they'll gladly sell it to you again for full price. So look forward to that. Some headlines again, and I'll go through these pretty quickly. I felt like these were kind of less exciting even than the first set of headlines. Not that they're bad, they're just not as exciting. The Batman Arkham Trilogy is coming fall 2023.
Yes.
Which is pretty cool to see those games on Switch. Gloomhaven, which was running at a real bad frame rate at certain points, is coming September 18th. Just Dance 2024, a game called Silent Hope. And then they went real rapid fire with a game called Fae Farm, another farming game. Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, Manic Mechanics, which I gotta say, I'm tired of the Overcooked clones, and that's just another one out there. And then Mario Plus Rabbids DLC is coming. And then last but not least, probably the most interesting one to me, Dragon Quest Monsters is coming on December 1st. So I'm trying to, if there's anything we really want to talk about here. Gene, sounds like you're pretty excited for this Batman Arkham trilogy.
I've been waiting for the Batman trilogy to get on the Switch for the entire run of the Switch. So the fact that they're dropping it at the tail end of the Switch, I'm fine with that. That's fine. I'm only disappointed that Arkham Origins continues to be the redheaded stepchild of the whole series. That's the one that was made by the other WB studio, the one that made Gotham Knights. And although Gotham Knights wasn't that great, I actually think Arkham Origins is the best one out of all four of them.
Whoa.
So
crazy.
Yeah. But it's kind of cool that we're getting Arkham Knight too. Arkham Knight wasn't my favorite. The Batmobile parts suck, but so much of the game is actually really good. So it's hard to not be excited. And obviously Arkham City and Arkham Asylum are classics. So the Batman games are really like mentally so good for me because it just feels so good to counter and punch as Batman and just run around as Batman. So I'm just super excited for this. And Luigi's Mansion. I don't know if you guys have played the series before, but Luigi's Mansion 2, Dark Moon, is actually smaller than Luigi's Mansion 3. Even though Luigi's Mansion 3 is only in one building, it's actually an extremely, extremely tall hotel versus Luigi's Mansion 2, which I think structurally is more interesting because it's set in 5 different mansions, and each different mansion is its own contained space, and that's cool. Versus the vertical structure of the hotel, and they kind of have to like stick by that structure. The mansions in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon are a lot more interesting, and they get to play with the area more. So, really excited for people who never played it to finally try it.
So, both Dagan and Micah, I guess for Micah specifically, I know that there was an Xseed game in here, that Silent Hope game, and I know you like some of these more extra weeby games. Does anything speak to you here?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one that was definitely top of my list for games I'm going to be checking out. I wrote in my notes, looks super cool. So I enjoy this concept very much. I mean, the whole thing of like the king has stolen the words. It's like, oh boy. And we have one character that can talk, and she's encased in a tomb of her own tears. I mean, that says everything you need about it. Weeb Central.
That's a cool concept.
Over that. Yeah, no, I'm into that for sure. And actually, as Gene mentioned, I've never played the Luigi's Mansion series at all. So this had me very excited as well to be able to go back and play one of the older games, just conveniently once again. I will say, when I saw the Batman Arkham trilogy, I'm a huge fan of those games, but I was just like, these don't look great. I'm not a graphic snob by any means. But it's just one of those, like, is this how I would choose to play it? Having already played these games, I don't know if I would go back to them and play them on Switch specifically. But if you didn't get to experience those and you want to give them a try, like, they're definitely worth playing. But that was me saying, oh, these look a little rough. When you mentioned earlier, Dustin, how, like, the new Mario games, like, oh, they look so clean and polished. And then when they showed that, and I was like, yeah, Yeah, there's a reason why we have that specific style for Nintendo games because they run really well, they look great. But yeah, the farming sim city over here with just so many of them. And as you mentioned, the Overcooked clones, like for Manic Mechanics, I wrote Overcooked, but with cars. And I'm a big Overcooked fan. I adore those games, but I don't need, another person's version of it. I already have Overcooked. So they had some good stuff in here. The Dragon Quest Monsters game intrigues me a bit. It feels a little bit like a fusion almost of like Pokemon and Persona, So I think there's some cool things here for sure, but Silent Hope was definitely my pick of the litter. You know me very well.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier when we were going through these. I was like, oh yeah, that is anything X-Seed. I know that's going to ring some bells for Micah. Dag, anything for you here? Maybe Luigi's Mansion, which I'll just say real quick, what's surprising, they're doing the second one. They're pushing that over. But the first one's still over on GameCube and 3DS still. So maybe that'll be next.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll go kind of backwards with that. That's an interesting point. Yeah, I've played the first couple of Luigi's Mansions games, although it's been a while. It's super fun. I love the mechanics. I love how inventive it was at the time. I think it'll be fun. And again, just to kind of reintroduce it to people or introduce it to brand new younger players, I think that's fun. I like what Micah said about Batman Arkham Trilogy.
A little stinky.
It's not
a little stinky Switch.
Graphically not aging well, but I do like the availability on Switch for Nintendo players. I think it's important for them to have that variety, especially tonally, but also for just a game, a game series that's important, I think, to definitely, to absorb somehow, even if you're not going to get it on PlayStation, go and play it on the Switch. I think it's important just in the overall conversation. That Silent Hope game is funny because I'm way too old to be a weeb. I date back to Japanese animation when it was still called Japanimation. So I don't know what a 49-year-old anime fan is. But seeing things like this draws out the weeb in me. It's interesting. This game looks really cute, fun, stylish. Those nice, fully animated cutscenes. I think I could enjoy stuff like this. I wish I had more time to play these RPGs, these JRPGs, because I think they would be really fun. And then Dragon Quest Monsters was exciting. I mean, even before the iconic Dragon Quest music chimes in, I could name it in 3 frames just seeing Akira Toriyama's artwork. I was like, that's Akira Toriyama. I'm in. And that's already it. Even if I don't like all the Dragon Quest games, just having Akira Toriyama's art and his character designs is enough for me. I get excited every time because he's so interesting. He's one of my favorites because it always looks like him, but it's always different at the same time. It has those telltale signals that it's Toriyama artwork, but it's always something fresh. It's strange how he does that, how he's still going. So the Dragon Quest game looks good. The Dark Prince looks, maybe, I like being involved in this podcast because I think it's going to draw me into a little bit more of this stuff and playing it. Even if I can't, I got to kind of lose my completionist philosophy and just say, even if you just get your feet wet, jump in, you could always revisit it, but spend 10 hours on this. I have to start thinking that way. It's a little hard for me, but just so I could witness more, and this might be a good one for that. It's coming out December 1st, I think, the Dragon Quest game. So I'll be looking forward to that. And that's enough time away for it. I don't have to be intimidated. I can prepare myself.
That's right. Yeah. Good, nice little Christmas break game, maybe. Moving on, I'm going to bundle these next two. We got a look at Pikmin 4 once again, which is, of course, coming very soon. But a surprise announcement as well that they're pushing over Pikmin 1 and 2 over to the Switch today. These are out. I was trying to look. They weren't out before we started recording. I was trying to see if they were out, and I think that you can get both of them. Yeah, the 1 and 2 bundle is $49.99, or you can buy them individually, and they are $30 each. And of course, these are digital only right now, but they will be coming to a physical Switch card as well. That's going to be on September 22nd. As far as Pikmin 4, they detailed some of the multiplayer aspects, a Dandori battle, which is like a 2-player versus mode. And then they detailed some of the nighttime mode, which traditionally in Pikmin games at nighttime, you got to go to your ship, you got to hide, and any Pikmin you leave out there are going to get eaten. It's very sad. But now you'll be able to go out at nighttime, and they have a new Pikmin called the Glow Pikmin. So this game looks fantastic to me. Holly, as I've mentioned in probably every other previous episode, is so excited for this game. Immediately, she was saying how it's beautiful. It's a really good looking game. Came out this week that they made it in Unreal Engine, which is kind of an interesting detail for a Nintendo to be working in Unreal. But she is super pumped. And she's also really excited about these remasters coming to Nintendo Switch as well, just because she's only played Pikmin 3. And so I'm really excited. I'll definitely play Pikmin 4. I know we talked about this a bit last week. So does anyone have any other additional thoughts on this?
I think I might just do I might just do like a knockback style approach and just start from Pikmin 1. You know, I'm going to earn my way to Pikmin 4.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I'll probably just go download it right now after the show.
Nice. Now, are they going to get you like they did Metroid, where you buy the physical version too?
I think I will, because I'm such a Nintendo fanboy, and like you know, like Miyamoto like loves Pikmin so much that like I do trust his judgment, and like because he loves it so much, and this is like his baby, like I wouldn't mind at least owning them. So
sure, yeah, why not? Any other Pikmin thoughts from Micah or Dagan?
Oh, just to mention, they also said Pikmin 4 demo coming out on the 28th.
Oh, right.
So I went ahead and pre-ordered it already. After our last episode, I was like, Colin, get me a copy of that on your Amazon Prime, because otherwise, you know, it won't arrive for a very long time for me if I order it, because I don't have Prime. I'm not fancy. But I already pre-ordered it. But seeing the demo, I usually don't play demos of games because I don't want to know too much. But I'm just really stoked on this. And I'm like, I want to play just a couple minutes just to get a taste of it, you know. I want to be dedicated like Gene and actually start with the older ones. But I also I just want to dive right into 4 when it comes out. I think, you know, this is one of those situations where I say there's too many, you know, for me to go back and play them all. I'm like just really busy with other things right now. So I'm like, I'm going to just dive right into 4. If I love it, I'll go back and play the other ones, because it's such a charming little series that I imagine it won't be torture to go back to the older games. Just the way that they're styled and everything looks like they'd still be quite enjoyable, even if you started with like the newer ones.
Dag, I don't want to cut you off if you have Pikmin thoughts, but I'm going to throw the next.
Oh no, the only thing,
well.
the glow Pikmin are super creepy. I love it. Give me some creepy cute in my Pikmin. And again, like most of us, I'm not really that familiar with the series, but it does look really cute and fun. There's something so charming about small characters being immersed in a world where small things to us look big, you know, like sardine cans and matchbooks and giant towering flower pots and stuff. That's a good point of entry. I've always loved that stuff since I was a kid. And, you know, just feeling like, oh, they're tiny and everything looks big to them. So I don't know. That might be enough to get Dagan invested in some Pikmin. It looks really fun. And the fact that it's coming out soon, it's not Zelda, but it's a big Nintendo IP, and it's coming out right on the heels of Tears of the Kingdom. So it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to check it out. This next one we already knew about, but we got some more details. That's the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1. And so this includes Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, the original Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, and the NES versions. And they detailed some of the extra stuff as far as the Metal Gear graphic novels, strategy guides for each game, music players. They really went all out with this, and I really appreciate it as a big Metal Gear fan. This is coming on October 24th, not exclusively to Switch. We're going to see this on other platforms as well. And like I said at the top, this is Volume 1, so we can expect another one as well. I would imagine that would be like Peace Walker and maybe Metal Gear Solid 4, which Metal Gear Solid 4, maybe I would think that could run on Switch. It might take a little black magic or something to get that, since that game is, you know, already is a weird game running only on PS3, though there was just a rumor about it running on 360. But anyway, Dagan, I know you're a big Metal Gear fan. How are you feeling about these?
How do you not get this? There's no excuse.
There's
and
no excuse.
it just dawned on me, Dust. I feel bad for you because you do a PlayStation podcast, but I only do a Nintendo podcast. My other podcasts are not console related.
Yeah.
So I have to get this on the Switch. I feel like I have to get this on the Switch. And I love that the NES versions are on here. I think the MSX versions are playable on here, which I've never played. And the digital graphic novels, kind of a deal sealer too. And also, just going out, Snake Eater, maybe my favorite game of all time. Certainly maybe my favorite PlayStation game of all time. I love that game so much. I'm so into that. I love all three. I love 1 and 3 especially. 2 is also awesome. We did all of them for Knockback. But Snake Eater has a special place in my heart. Just that intro, man. The intro to that game is so friggin' good. Well, I think the intro of that game, the song and the graphical intro of that game is one of my favorite video game moments. For sure.
I was playing it because I was talking to Holly about the remake that's coming out, not for Switch, but for other platforms. And I was like, Holly, we got to get, I don't know what context we do a Last Stand talent show, but I was like, Holly, we got to get you to sing Snake Eater at it. Figure out a way to make that happen.
So good.
That'd be amazing.
You have to do it.
Yeah. Someday we'll figure it out.
You have to do it.
Gene, I know you're a Kojima fan. You just saw the Kojima documentary, right?
Oh, you got to see it?
Yeah.
You're fresh off of that. How you feeling about the Master Collection?
Yeah, the Kojima documentary was interesting because it was only an hour long, and it was basically a making of Death Stranding documentary. Not too much insight into the man himself. They were just talking about how they made Death Stranding.
Interesting.
And it was really weird because they kept talking about like Death Stranding, like proper nouns, like we're supposed to know. So like the documentary only makes sense if you know Death Stranding too. So it was very, very strange. But that aside, I mean, it's Metal Gear, it'll be great to have it on the Switch. This is again along the lines of the Arkham trilogy. This is the same collection. This is another collection of games that I've wanted on the Switch for ages, and now we're getting it. And I think, just generally speaking, like this really, all this really extends the life of the Switch even further. Like the Switch isn't dead in 2023. Tears of the Kingdom is not its swan song. They're still going and they're still making games. Super Mario RPG, the Princess Peach, and then the next game that we're going to talk about later on. They're going crazy. So like they're making sure that I'm going to be playing the Switch for a long, long time, and having Metal Gear on the platform is perfect. I've always thought of Metal Gear as kind of like a Nintendo game anyways, because I played it on the NES, and the whole reason why Kojima had to got his place was because he's like, hey, you gotta make the game for the NES,
Hell yeah.
Micah, I don't know if you like Metal Gear. Is this doing anything for you?
No, I watched Colin, play them for Knockback. It was enjoyable to experience them in that kind of like backseat driver way of like, I just get to see it. But it's not for me. I don't enjoy stealth games at all. Like as much as I think, Hitman, for example, is super cool, those games are not for me. I lack any patience for stealth. Any game that gives you a choice between stealth or going like guns blazing, Last of Us, for example, I'm going to always brute force everything as opposed to sneaking around quietly and trying to take people out one by one. It's just not my thing. But I appreciate that they're doing this because it is a fantastic way to get more people to play these games, maybe that haven't. And also, just as Gene mentioned, putting more value into your Switch. Here's a really beloved collection of games now just accessible to even more people on the go. I mean, the biggest thing about Switch is take it anywhere you want to, travel, everything. So I'm happy for the people that love the series. For me, though, this was the part where I got up to get a glass of water.
That's fair.
I think the game being a stealth game reminds me of how for all three games, I've beaten all three games without killing a single person.
Oh wow!
And that was so much fun, and I'm wondering if I might just get this on PlayStation just so I can actually get the platinum for that.
Yeah,
because it's a fun achievement. Once you actually do it, you're like, I can't believe I did all that. That's crazy.
That's incredible.
I have been personally fucked by Konami on this one. I just this year replayed Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Metal Gear Solid 3 just this past year. But I think I'll do it again because I'll be able to do it so quickly. Now I remember how to do everything. And so this is one for me, G, and I will also probably play on PlayStation just for those trophies. That's a moment where trophies will add to the experience for me.
I think it might. I'll double dip, but I think I do want those PlayStation trophies. I think it'll be fun to have a Metal Gear Solid PlayStation Platinum.
Yeah, definitely. This next one, I know you're a big fan of, Gene, and so am I. Vampire Survivors is coming to Nintendo Switch on August 17th. This game's fucking awesome.
And tomorrow, today.
Yeah, this game rules. It's basically, it's hard to, I guess it's not really hard to describe. You don't actually attack anything. It's an auto battler is what they're, the genre, whatever it's called. And this is the one that really, I think, popularized this type of game. And this is a game you can lose a lot of time to. I played this game on my Steam Deck. Hours and hours and hours. Really? It's so addicting. Yes, Dagan, you gotta.
How did I not know
check
about
this out.
Dagan, you gotta play this game.
I didn't know this was a thing.
Through.
Thank you for walking me through this. I thought
it's free on the iPhone. Just download it on your phone.
So it is on mobile.
It's free there. It's totally
free. Mobile. All right.
Yeah, so all you do when you die is you can watch an ad and you can come back to life. That's it.
What?
Yeah, it's cool.
Castlevania meets Gauntlet. That's what it looked like to me from the gameplay footage. I was like, what is this? And at first I thought it was Castlevania because I think the illustration that they use of the vampire is a little misleading. It looks like Konami art. And I was like, wait, what is this? Is this Castlevania?
Well, they did get the game initially was made with like assets from like a Castlevania type game or whatever to rip off Castlevania. And then even like the main girl on the cover of the art is just a traced over Bayonetta with just as a magical girl instead of a Bayonetta. So everything about this game feels like like it was like put together like the submarine that's lost out in the Atlantic Ocean right now. But
and couch co-op, 4-player couch co-op. I was like, wait, this is like
that's
really
new.
Oh, that's a new feature.
I don't think the other versions have co-op.
That's crazy. Yeah. I missed that announcement. What?
Yeah, I just saw this now too, Gene, because I didn't write that in the notes. Maybe they said it in the direct and I missed it. But 4-player couch co-op for Vampire Survivors on Switch. I don't even
know how that will work. That's crazy.
And to be clear, I want to be clear for the audience how this game works. So you start and you have one attack and it just automatically attacks. So let's say you get a whip and it will just every few seconds do a whip attack. Okay. So you start killing these enemies and you pick up gems. Eventually you'll pick up enough gems that you'll level up and it'll give you 3 options of an upgrade. Maybe it's upgrading your whip. Maybe it's an entire new attack or I think those are the main. Maybe there's something else too. But anyway, so as you play, you continually get more and more powerful where it's like, I have an aura around me that kills enemies and I've got axes flying everywhere. It's like, on Sacred Symbols, I described it as a pure dopamine game where you're just killing hundreds of enemies, picking up hundreds of gems. And it's so deceivingly simple at first. The first game that I ever booted up, I'm like, this game's going to be boring. And immediately you realize, like, no.
Immediately, like within like 10 minutes, you're like, oh, I get it now. It feels good. I'm like it's like trying a drug for the first time, and you're like, oh, that's why people smoke meth. Okay.
And what did they mention in the trailer? It's just frenetic action for 30 minutes. Like you have to endure 30 minutes of this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Eventually, the Grim Reaper will just come and kill you because seriously, if you play the game right, you can just do nothing. And it will.
I've left the game on overnight, and I was still alive. Because if eventually you unlock the mode where you don't have to survive for only 30 minutes, it can just go on forever. So I went on forever, and then the game, I was so powerful that nothing could kill me, and I just vampire survived for 7 hours.
Hell yeah. Mike, are you
I
interested
had so much
in this
money because I did that because I was grinding. I was like a Bitcoin farmer, but with vampire survivors.
Yeah, dude, this game, surprisingly, as simple as it looks, can make my Steam Deck, it can cripple it down to 15 FPS. There's so much stuff going on, which is crazy for a game with this aesthetic. But Micah, I don't know where you land on games like this. Is this something, well, you know what? I don't care if it's intriguing to you or not. I want you to at least try it. at some
Right.
point.
Give it 10 minutes. Give it 10 minutes.
Gene and I are telling both you and Dagan, you have to at least check this out.
Looks so fun.
Yeah, this had my attention. It's just another example of this is something I would try if you put it on Switch, you know? So this had my attention. I thought it looked neat. It immediately is just very different from anything else I've ever played. So this was an example of like, you had my curiosity, now you've got my attention. You know, I said, okay, you put this on Switch. That's the way to get me. That's the way to get me to buy your game. Put it on Switch, essentially. And then, you know, the next farming sim they'll do will probably be like Bitcoin Farmer, as Gene mentioned. So that'll probably be the next farming sim that we see at the Direct, you know, whenever they grace us with one again.
Yeah. It's definitely exciting. Make sure you guys don't skip out on Vampire Survivors. This one, unless anyone really feels strongly to say anything, we can just kind of acknowledge it and move on. This is a game called Headbangers Rhythm Royale. It's a pigeon rhythm battle royale game. I get it. It's cute. It's quirky. It doesn't look bad by any means, but it also is like, what are we doing here? So we can just move on to the next one unless anyone feels super strong. This next one I thought looked pretty dang cool. And this is a game called Penny's Big Breakaway.
Yes.
This is just a straight up 3D action platformer made by the Sonic Mania team. And I thought this looked super charming, really good art direction, and I just love 3D platformers. And so I'm down to check out pretty much any of them. So Gene, I'm hearing some acknowledgement from you here. How did you feel about this game?
I'm just happy to see a mascot platformer again.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm so disappointed that Ratchet and Clank on PS5 hasn't sold that well, because it's really one of the best games on the platform. And it just reminds me of like the good old days when we had a lot of like action platformers. You know, Arrow the Acrobat, you know, Rocket Knight by Konami, you know, and even Bubsy, you know.
Dude, I didn't think Bubsy was that bad when I was a kid.
I didn't think Bubsy was not
Bubsy
that bad.
when I was a kid.
Bubsy 3D is bad, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. Shout out Sony Bend.
Exactly.
So funny thinking about now, but
you know, and obviously Crash Bandicoot and everything, and like the recent the recent Klonoa remakes.
Oh right, yeah.
So yeah, and it's made by the Sonic Mania team, so the pedigree is there. You know, this is going to be a solid game. You know, there's also the other game, A Hat in Time, that I kind of want to check out. So yeah, I'm all for welcoming new mascot platformers. I don't think that the genre should die at all.
Dagan, you haven't been exposed on this podcast yet for being a filthy hater of Mario 64. Does this live up to your standards, Dagan, of what a 3D platformer should be?
How dare you taint this awesome looking game by speaking of Mario 64? Let's not even talk about Mario 64. Let's keep going with what Gene
just
said.
Deflect for now. That's fine.
Yeah, let's just deflect. Let's pretend I didn't do that in Houston. And I'll just capitalize on what Gene was saying. It's a throwback to a certain era of mascot 3D platforms. Fast, fluid, 3D platforming, run and jump, but it has this distinctive yo-yo grappling hook mechanic where I think, if I'm not mistaken, the yo-yo is also a character. So Banjo-Kazooie-esque in that the character is actually useful for the mechanics of the game. And it just looks fun. It looks fast. It looks fun. It looks satisfying. It's a throwback to all those good things. Klonoa is a great send up, and Ratchet and Clank, of course, like just the fun, platforming centered around a mascot character. I love a return to that. I think this one is fixing to be special. That we won't get it till 2024, right?
Right.
So we got to wait a little bit, but yeah, it looks good.
This will be launching also on PS5, Xbox Series X and S as well, if you're interested in playing it there instead, worth mentioning. And then what do we have next here? Okay, we'll just acknowledge this real quick. The next wave of Mario Kart tracks are coming out, and you'll be able to play as the Wizard Man Kamek. Is that how you say it? Kamek? I never knew this guy actually had a name, but the next wave's coming out. There's so many tracks now in Mario Kart. It's insane, but good to see they're still trucking along with Wave 5 that's coming out later this summer. Dagan, I wanted to ask you about this one as someone who was deep into PS1 RPGs, and I'm sure... oh, wait, Micah, did I skip you on Penny's Big Breakaway? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you really didn't have to go me. It's the last thing I'd ever play. I'm happy to see a mascot platformer that's not for furries, but that's all I'll say about it.
Good. Yeah.
Is it not?
I thought in my brain, I was like, Micah's not going to care about this game, but I should still ask her just in case. So that was a little rude of me. But back to Star Ocean. Dagan, I know both you and Gene, big PS1 RPG gamers, and I don't know a lot about this, but it is the second Star Ocean game. They're doing it in the 2D HD style. It's coming out November 2nd. Do you have any history with Star Ocean?
I don't. I have to kick this over to Gene. This is a miss for me.
Okay. No, same here. Same.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a knowledge gap for both of us too. So
Micah, maybe wild card.
Try it out.
I haven't played it, but I immediately put this on my list of things to play. I've never played a Star Ocean game, but this has me totally invested in whatever it's going to be.
Cool.
I don't know. Can I start here though? I have no idea, but I want to play this.
Yeah.
It looks great. Yeah.
I've never played a Star Ocean game either. So this is a total black spot for all this entire podcast. But I love the 2D HD art style. I love to see Square Enix saying like, this is how we're going to do it. We're going to modernize it, make it more beautiful with lighting and stuff like that. But we're going to keep that art direction with the pixel art. And man, it's like the perfect medium for me when it comes to redoing these games. And I just imagine a Chrono Trigger and a Final Fantasy VI 2D HD remake would be, wow, 10 out of 10 if that happened.
Seems like inspiration. You know what? Are you guys bothered by, am I thinking of the right trailer though? The English language voiceover in a JRPG, I really don't like it. I don't know if that's the old head anime fan in me.
You mean like all the battle chat in this one? Yeah, it was way over the top. I was thinking, I saw it. I'm like, this game looks so good, but it's Micah. That's a lot like Octopath Traveler. That there's just a lot of battle. Like anytime someone does a move, I always think of the guy I mentioned him before. That'll do her in Octopath 1 over and over when Holly was playing. I was playing Elden Ring, and every 5 seconds I hear that'll do her. That'll do her. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here?
That could be a deal breaker for me.
And it was. I had to set it to Japanese voices for Octopath, 1 and 2 because they didn't give them any diversity of phrases. Playing Xenoblade Chronicles, and they say a lot of different things during battle, which is great. And then playing like Octopath Traveler, and it's like they're just repeating the same phrase over and over. And it's like, at least in Japanese, it sounds unique to me, and I don't know what you're saying. But hearing them say the same command, a million times, couldn't do it.
You said
just couldn't do it. So, yeah, this game, I'm interested in it. But if there's a Japanese voice option, that'll probably get popped on pretty quick.
No, Final Fantasy 16 also does the same thing too, where every time you dodge, Clive goes, too slow. He's like,
oh no,
really? Damn.
Like, you missed me. He's like Sonic the Hedgehog. It's fucking crazy.
Damn, dude. Yeah, this game looks cool though. I'm excited to see more of it, and when it comes out later this year, November 2nd. Okay. This one I'm very, very conflicted about because I am a huge WarioWare fan. I have been since the very first game. I've almost played all of them. The only one I don't think I got to play was the GameCube version, which was mostly just the mini games from the original Game Boy one. But been a fan of this series for a while, and I'm so happy that it still exists. This feels like an IP that Nintendo could easily put on the shelf and forget about, but this is surprisingly the second WarioWare game that we're getting on the Switch. The last one, which I'm trying to remember what the name of it was.
That was Get It Together.
Get It Together. And it had that very specific mechanic that all the mini games you control a little character that has a different type of ability. The game didn't really hit for me. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I was looking for in a WarioWare experience. And this one, and this is what comes to why I'm conflicted, it's all very motion control heavy. And it's funny too, because I was thinking about it where they were showing the game first, like there's a part where I think it's like you're a turtle and you got to use a towel to clean off your back and stuff like that. And they're describing it. I'm like, this would be kind of funny in a party setting. And then they went into multiplayer stuff after that. And so I was just thinking about me in a few months when I inevitably buy this game because I'm a WarioWare fanboy. And I'm playing this motion control game where I'm a turtle cleaning my back by myself, a 30-year-old man in his living room doing this. And that's just going to be the case for me and millions of others. But
I'm 41. Imagine me doing that, or Dagan.
Dude, and it gets worse every year. You just. But hey, we got to just accept it at this point that this is we're a bunch of adults on a Nintendo podcast.
That's right.
It is what it is. But Gene, I'll throw this to you first. Do you like WarioWare as much as I do? And are you concerned about a motion control?
I don't know if
another one, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if I like WarioWare as much as you do, but I do like WarioWare. But I'm probably gonna skip it if it's motion control, because even Nintendo Switch Sports, like, I bought the hell out of that game and I'm not playing it. I'm just not into motion controls. Period. So, like, it would have been fun to have a WarioWare game where I can just like do it on the touch screen, or I just press A really, really fast or whatever. And I get that that's like the old style game, and those games still do exist too. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the series continues. It gives everything 1-2 Switch, everybody 1-2 Switch some competition in the motion control party game,
right,
field, other than Just Dance, So yeah, it's fine. I'm happy it exists, but it's not for me.
Micah, I feel like WarioWare would appeal to you and I shared interests in just extremely bizarre humor and antics going on. So is this game doing anything for you?
Yeah, Wario, fantastic character. Okay,
yes.
Absolute favorite across the many Mario games. But this is not for me. Much like Gene, I am not into motion controls anymore. It's just, this isn't for me at this point. I think those are games that are fun for a group. Mario, like the sports games and everything like that. Wii Sports, part of the big fun with that was being goofy with your friends. It always felt kind of awkward to play by yourself. Like, let me just do a round of bowling right now. And it felt weird even then. So now to play this, I like knowingly that I'd be playing this by myself. Colin's not going to play this with me. So it just feels awkward. The dogs will be looking at me funny. It's definitely not for me. I think it looks cute and fun for a family or for someone who's got a couple of roommates that want to play a game. But for me personally, this is just a miss. It's not something I'm going to pick up. It is something I would try if someone else had it.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be the turtle toweling off its back alone in my living room.
Aww.
It's not for me.
Now, Dagan, I know you talk highly of the Game Boy Advance. Was WarioWare something ever that you were playing? And if not, or if so, how are you feeling about WarioWare Move It, which I didn't say the name of the game. It's coming out November 3rd. That's important stuff to say at the beginning. How are you feeling about it?
I don't have much experience with WarioWare, but I think this looks really fun. You know what? I take it as an opportunity to get the family to play something together. It's usually Mario Kart. My family also loves Splatoon for some strange reason. They've always been addicted to it. I'm kind of the odd man out with Splatoon. So just to have another opportunity to play something together, I think would be really funny. I find the low rent graphics really charming, like the whole primitive on purpose aesthetic, a funny visual sense of humor to that. And I never really know what to make of that. Like, obviously Nintendo is making this on the cheap compared to something that has a much bigger budget, but it comes off as that's part of the joke. These graphics look really terrible. But even if that's not the case, that's how it always kind of comes out of the wash for me. So I kind of love that. There's just something really kind of lighthearted and whimsical about that. And I don't have to, I don't know. There's the graphic critic in me that I go through the same thing with animation on television, where it's just like, it's just relaxing. Just watch something bad on purpose. That's why South Park is so fun. You don't have to pay attention to the way it looks. And so I don't know. I might be introducing this one to the family. I'll let you know how it goes.
Dagan, I'll tell you a low commitment that the first WarioWare Game Boy Advance game is available on the Game Boy Advance online for Nintendo Switch. It's so easy to hop in, and then you'll just get a little taste.
Yeah.
You don't have to play all of it.
Little
but you can get a little taste of what the insanity that is WarioWare. So I'm excited for this. I agree with pretty much everybody about the motion controls, but I just can't. I love the silliness of the different stuff going on and the different characters. And it's like, there's the one I'm watching the trailer now, and right before the turtle back situation, there's a guy on jet skis and he has really long, weird legs and you have to move. I love stuff like that.
So funny.
even if it isn't that fun from a gameplay perspective, I think I'll have fun from a absurdity standpoint. So we're coming in on the final stretch, and that is there's 2 things remaining. One of them pretty simple, but Tears of the Kingdom, of course, little known game, doing pretty well out there for Nintendo. And we got 1 amiibo at launch with the Link amiibo, but they just announced 2 more. We've got Zelda and Hot Ganondorf coming.
I know somebody who's getting that Ganon.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Micah, this is your gateway. You don't need to play a game. You just get this Ganondorf amiibo and you're set.
No, he's looking real good. I got a jar all ready for him.
Oh my god. You know, if I said I got a jar all ready for him, people would take that completely differently.
Yeah,
that's why I love it.
I got my jar here. I'm ready for Ganon. You know.
Yeah, ready for Ganon. Gene, are you gonna get these? I imagine this is an immediate yes.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'm an amiibo collector, you know. And Ganon looks hot, and honestly, so does Zelda. She looks fucking amazing.
Yeah,
know? She's floating with the Master Sword. Oh, she looks great. You know, and she's got the short hair too. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think these look fantastic. I definitely am going to get both of them. I have so many Zelda amiibo. I have just a lineup of Links, a lineup of. Do you have all of the Zelda ones?
I have all the Zelda amiibos. When I went to the Nintendo New York store the other month, I was like, okay, I don't have these. I might as well complete the collection. You know?
Yeah. So. Why not? Dag, this might be, you know, if you want to get into amiibo, you need to learn that if you want these, you got to get them now.
Yes.
Or else
pre-order or bust, right?
Yeah.
I didn't tell you guys. After our first episode, somebody got in touch with Colin, oddly. I don't know why they couldn't figure out how to get in touch with me, and said, because I had expressed on that first episode, I think that the amiibo collecting thing worries me because I could see being really interested, but I'm trying to divest myself of my various collections, and I don't want to get wrapped up in that. I'm worried about it. And somebody wrote in and wants to give me their amiibo collection. And it's not a massive collection, but I think it's like 30 or 40 amiibos, which I thought was
that is massive, Dagan.
That's a lot.
That right? is no small
big.
Amount.
That's a lot more than I have right now, which is 1, I think.
I have Mega Man. Or I don't know. I'll double up. You know.
So wait, is he gifting it to you? Or are you buying?
What's that?
Is he gifting it or
no?
Is
he's just giving them. He said, I think he had a really nice guy. I want to say his name is Jacob, but I could be wrong about that because it's been a few weeks. He's moving, I think. He's relocating, and he just, you know, he wants to kind of get rid of. He's unpacking. He wants to get rid of some stuff, and he wants to give him a good home. And I said, you know what? I think I did reply in the affirmative, but I think Colleen's going to be mad because I'm really trying to redo this office, and this is going to make it a little harder. So I won't get these new amiibos. They do look awesome. I think short-haired Zelda looks so cool. Such a cool design. But if you guys want to send me them, that's...
Yeah. I do love that she's holding the Master Sword. It looks
so cool.
And they have her suspended above. Really cool. So yeah, those will be coming out. I'm very excited about those. Let's get into this last announcement. A really, really big one. And again, this is one I'm a little surprisingly conflicted about. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. This is a new 2D Mario game. It's coming out October 20th. And the thing that I'll just be straight up right off the bat. I'm a little conflicted in that it's a little too new Super Mario Bros. For me. I was really excited when the rumor was coming out that there was going to be a new 2D Mario game. I thought, nice, this is the time we can break away. I've never been a big fan of the new Super Mario Bros. Games. I don't like the music in them with the weird like vocal parts. I love
the music.
I've never liked that.
I like that.
Yeah, it's so cute.
I don't know.
I've never really liked that. And I also just
that's my favorite part. So
dang. Well, I will say I think I can deal with the music. There's something about the specific direction of the art that I don't really care for. I will say that this is the most appealing one.
They changed the art
so
style
far.
for this one.
They did, and
he's rounder.
Yeah, they changed the characters for sure, but they added some new abilities. Of course, the big one is at the end with the Elephant Mario, And then a big section of this trailer was talking about the Wonder Flower, which is basically a wild card from what it seems, that all kinds of different things can happen in the stage. And they also showed a talking flower, which I'll have to look again. They specifically mentioned this at the end. Koizumi talks about the talking flowers that's like, hey, Mario, or something like that. They talk to you in the stage. And they also made sure to tell everybody Daisy will be playable.
Daisy's
in this game.
Already game of the year.
Game of the year right there. Yeah, Daisy. Yeah. We got her in. Dagan, how are you feeling about this as I know you love Super Mario World and all the old Mario games, and we're getting another 2D Mario game in the year of our Lord 2023.
So exciting. I got to learn not to pay attention to the direct predictions, though, because this was spoiled for me. A lot of people knew. I don't know how they knew they were going to announce a new 2D or 2.5D Mario, and sure enough, here it was. But I think it looks really fun. I think it looks, interestingly, it looks a lot like Sonic Superstars. A very similar graphical treatment, zoomed out, really rich graphics that look 2D, but of course they're rendered in 3D with that 2.5 aesthetic. And I like the conceit of the Wonder Flower, sort of this power up, but with random effects. So if you go in for this thing, one of several things can happen, and how that simple sort of conceit just affects the game. I think it looks really fun. You could play as one of at least Daisy, Toad, Luigi, Mario, Peach, right? As far as we know so far, which is really fun. So that reminds me of Super Mario 2 with Daisy thrown in, of course, too. And, I just think it looks really fun. And I love the fact that I would think they're working on a new mainline Mario game as far as in the 3D world, but they needed to have a companion piece for the Mario movie, a proper thing, not even an exciting reinvention like Mario RPG, but they needed to have a new Mario, a tie-in, to the movie and their new Super Mario cinematic universe or whatever. I think it looks a lot of fun. I think that Elephant Mario was super charming. Mm-hmm. And I think the look of the game is really fun. I like that they're doing this thing now with little Mario, like non-powered up Mario, where it has baby Mario proportions, but he still looks like adult Mario. He's just super squat. There's just something really charming about the way it looks, and I'm super excited. I can't believe this is coming out in October, by the way. Like we're getting
October 20th.
It's only a few months away.
Dude, Nintendo, as I was saying earlier, they're riding off that cool billion. They're like, Christmas is coming, baby. And we don't have one, but 2 Mario games lined up because every kid is going to want whatever new Mario thing. I mean, they already wanted Mario, but I feel like that's just like a total shot in the arm, steroid boost for the IP. It's going to be, these games both of them are just going to sell incredibly.
It's going to be huge.
Well, but
yeah, that's the thing. 2D Mario games have always sold, pretty much has sold better than the 3D Mario games. So
it's not interesting.
Yeah.
So, Gene, how are you feeling about this? It sounds like you were a big fan of the more recent new Super Mario Bros. Games. And I will say, I'm watching the trailer again. I'm coming around a little bit. And I don't want to sound like I don't like it. Mm-hmm. I'm probably going to buy it day one and play it. But I guess, I don't know. I was hoping for maybe something a little more radically different. I don't know. How are you feeling?
I get your like slightly lukewarm reception, because I kind of feel the same way too, and but at the same time having enjoyed the new Super Mario Brothers games. I've enjoyed all of them except for 2, and it's not like I didn't like 2 either. I just don't remember a goddamn thing from it. So this one seems like it's definitely going to be a lot more memorable. At the very least, it's not just another new Super Mario Brothers game. Like the Wonder mechanic looks interesting, and it looks like they're kind of like having a little bit of Mario Odyssey, where like there's like different ideas and different power-ups in every like new stage and every turn of it. So I'm excited about it. I'm a lot more excited, honestly, about Super Mario RPG than this one. But I'm obviously going to play this day one and play the hell out of it. And I'm glad that they haven't given up on a 2D formula. And we'll see. I mean, who knows? The Wonder mechanic could end up becoming like a Tears of the King mechanic, where we're like, oh, they're fusing things. How interesting! And we just don't know how interesting it actually is until we play it. or until Koizumi ends up doing another 10-minute demonstration and ends up wowing our brains. But who knows? I don't know. We'll see. We still didn't see that much of it, but I like the art style. I like the Elephant Mario. It's interesting that the flower is talking to you, like that's very like almost Sony PlayStation, where you have Atreus like just like never shutting the fuck up around you.
Yeah.
And then so it's like, oh, is this going to be like a narrative, a 2D Mario adventure? Like, I think there's an interesting opportunity for storytelling and world building with a talking flower that just follows you or just pops up every once in a while. That could be fun. That could be interesting. And Mario games are known for their humor. Favorite Mario games are hilarious. And like I mentioned earlier, Super Mario RPG is hilarious. So this could be a really funny and fun game. I'm excited.
I think part of it too for me is that they on Nintendo Switch re-released Super Mario Bros. U, and they re-released Super Mario 3D World, and I would have rather had a new 3D World personally. Much more my style as far as what I would want. I love 2D platformers. I deeply love them, but something about new Super Mario 3D World was just awesome. And of course, Bowser's Fury. There's so much they can do with that, and maybe they're holding that, as you guys mentioned, the next mainline Mario game, the next 3D, I guess not mainline, but the next big 3D adventure would be what we would see, something like that. But Micah, I know you're not a Mario person, but that doesn't mean you don't have any thoughts about the trailer. So how did you feel about this?
Yeah, I'm with you, Dustin. Actually, I do love Super Mario 3D World. That was a game I very much enjoyed.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would have
no
been
kidding.
delighted to see something like that.
Yeah.
This intrigues me, though. I think it just struck me as very weird. Again, the art style, we got Daisy looking kind of scrunched up. It's cute, but it's weird. It's one of those, you kind of need to see it again to be like, okay, all right, I get it. I see what you're doing here. It has me interested, though. I want to, kind of broaden my horizons a bit. So the talking flowers, a little wacky, a little weird. I'm kind of into it.
Right?
The new mechanics. This maybe has me on the hook for, this is how I'm going to try something new. I'm just going to just jump right in. But I'm with both of you, Dustin and Gene. I think it looks cool in some aspects. I think it looks very weird in others. And if I'm being honest, I would have rather had a new 3D world. But I'll give this a try. I'm definitely going to give it a try.
Yeah. I wonder if the flower... Okay, Gene.
I think people should realize that 3D World is basically a 3D Mario game. Like, it's a mainline 3D Mario game. So it's rather pretty big. So it would have been nice to have a 3D World. Or if they remade Super Mario 3D Land, but then that game is hard to work because you needed the 3D aspect of the 3DS to really make it pop.
Oh, yeah.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dagan.
I'm curious about that talking flower guy. Maybe he'll say something off color every once in a while. Like he's just like, jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams or something. You're like, what the fuck did you just say? And then he's like, let's go Mario. Like he's a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, maybe. Who knows? There's all kinds of options.
Maybe that. Dust, I know what you're saying, though, in wanting something with a Mario game to just feel a little different, a little bit of a departure, a little more inventive. But then you realize right now with Mario, they have to kind of ride the momentum of the success. So if they make something that's really different and like really bold departure, they could kind of break with that success and the tide that they're riding high. You know what I mean? So I'm always hoping, because Nintendo is so capable of doing things that are so creative and so innovative, but they go into these periods where from a corporate sense, they're just playing it safe. And the one conceit that they're doing is this Wonder Flower thing. It's this tiny thing. That's the new thing here, but it's this tiny little thing. But it's going to be enough for this to sell gangbusters, which is like Elephant Mario is going to sell the hell out of this.
Yeah, they'll have plushies of that. They'll be printing shirts, whatever they can, they'll be pushing Elephant Mario hard.
Oh,
for sure.
He's adorable.
And Dagan, I think that's actually a good segue just to wrap up thoughts on the Direct overall. I know it sounds like we're really high on it. I know that I am. But you saying that made me realize it is worth pointing out that as far as Nintendo, the stuff that's from Nintendo first party, you're right. A lot of this stuff was really safe in that they're doing some ports of old games. They're remaking an old game. And I would say the most, if you want to say it, ambitious new thing was that what we saw, that Princess Peach game. And that's not even, it didn't look like anything radical. And I want to say that it's not a bad thing that a lot of this stuff was safe. It's a good time.
It's a lot of Mario.
Yeah, and it's a lot of leaning into Mario, which again, as Dagan would say, it makes sense when they have such a huge install base. They just released a movie that sold a lot of tickets. And so, yeah, I think if there's a time to cash in on safeness from a company standpoint, now is the time.
And the Mario movie was safe too. So here's a lot of safe, easy hits,
Absolutely.
And because they're so safe, like I can't wait for all of them, because I safely know that I'm gonna love all these products,
Yeah. Well, and I think a good thing to bring up too is just that before this direct, a lot of people thought, oh, we don't know what's going on with 2023. It's going to be a light year after Zelda. And clearly now that's not the case. There's tons of awesome stuff coming to the Switch. And we even got a preview of one game for 2024 with the Princess Peach game. But of course, the question remains about the next Switch. The rumors pointing to sometime next year. Maybe that Peach game is like a January or February, maybe not January, but February or March game. And could that be the swan song for the Switch? And we start to finally find out stuff. Maybe that game is for the next Switch even.
No, because we're still waiting for Metroid Prime 4.
Oh my God.
They're holding that.
They're holding that. So a really interesting conversation with Nintendo of America President Doug Bowser that I had a long time ago. This was about 2 years ago. Is that Nintendo's intention is to reinvent what it means for what it looks like for a console life cycle. And it seems like what they're doing is holding a lot of good games and really, really just stretching out the release schedule. Because, what if Metroid Prime 4 ends up being a 2024 fall release,
Yeah.
That means we're still going to be fucking playing the Switch in 2024,
Dude, I hope we don't get the new Nintendo console until at least holiday 2024, because just for the pure fact that would be such a baller move to extend it from here to there and maybe further on software alone. I have never seen a company do that. And they could do it. I really do think a lot of people are yelling at their computer screens and their smartphones right now, but I really think Nintendo not only might very well do it, I think they can do it for absolute sure. I mean, those of us who follow video games, right? We're very familiar with the concept of development hell. So they're either holding Metroid Prime 4 back, or this game has slipped to the lowest ring of Dante's Inferno. Like it's in the lowest concentric circle of hell. Like what is going on with this game? And how great can it possibly be when it comes out?
And I have to imagine that they're not really holding it for the next system, because Metroid is not exactly a system seller.
Yes. Good point, Gene.
As much as I love the series,
absolutely.
I don't think it's going to move units. The next Mario 3D World will,
Yeah.
You launch the next Switch with the next Mario, then God, it's gonna go like crazy. So
that's what they have to do.
That's why it's like I do think Metroid Prime 4 is still gonna be on the Switch, and it's crazy that they still haven't released it. And I really do think that we're gonna still be playing the Switch for a long, long time.
I agree. I do agree with you on that. It's so crazy to think. And listen, this direct was not the yawn fest I thought it was going to be. A little bit of apathy for me, but I'm genuinely excited about a lot of this. 80% of it, probably. And two big things in Mario RPG and Mario Wonder. I mean, guys, the other thing is, what are we, 6 weeks out from Tears of the Kingdom releasing? It's still new. I'm not going to say it's brand new, but what are we riding 6 or 7 weeks into Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah, people are still playing. You're still playing it, right?
I'm still early.
Yeah.
It's pretty sad, actually. But all this exciting news to back up Tears, it's pretty phenomenal. I think Nintendo's doing a really good job.
Yeah. And you were mentioning about the power, right? And extending the Switch life cycle. And I think that for us as if you want to say hardcore gamers or whatever, we're so used to thinking about the end of a generation and how the games are being held back by it. And I think that if you look at Zelda, that's probably the biggest example of a Nintendo game that you're thinking, I wish this was a little more powerful. But pretty much everything else from Nintendo, no one looks at that remake of Super Mario RPG and thinks, oh man, is this going to be held back by the Switch? Should this be on the next Switch instead? It's like, no, they clearly know their own hardware and design it to be perfectly optimized to look amazing on it. And don't get me wrong, there are examples of games that didn't work out as well. We're thinking of Pokemon in particular, but I think that that's also sort of a different situation with it being somewhat outside the Nintendo being Game Freak. But if you look at the games Nintendo is making with Pikmin 4, this new Mario game as well, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, they can extend the life cycle because they're designing games still for that hardware, and they're not trying to, in every case, push it to its absolute limit. And even when they do with Zelda, it still is pretty stinking unbelievable that they're able to pull it off at the level of fidelity that they are. So I wonder how long it will be that we are still playing the Switch, because Nintendo shows no signs of slowing down. Micah, any final direct thoughts? I know you have, I will say, and I don't mean this in a negative way, you have unique tastes compared to the rest of us that are still very much like huge presence on Switch as far as these RPG games and stuff like that. So how did you feel about this overall?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Very different games that I'm interested in, from, Persona 5 Tactica, which we already knew about, but the Star Ocean 2 remake, I'm sold on that. I definitely want to see more. Super Mario RPG, that has me totally hooked. I'm so excited to finally play that and experience it. This was a really great mix of things. I mean, when you look at this list and see you're going from the Batman Arkham trilogy to Princess Peach game announcement, there was a lot to choose from here. All sorts of genres and interests were represented. Silent Hope, I'm definitely keeping an eye out for that. This was a really good one for me, and piqued my interest more in titles that we already knew about, like Pikmin 4. Getting another look at that makes me more excited for the demo that they announced, even though I already pre-ordered it. But this game has just looked so charming that I'm already just ready to play it. So this was overall really great direct. I think it will touch a lot of different bases here for people, and Headbangers, Rhythm Royals, that pigeon game, horrible, but maybe the lowest point of the direct, but I still think it's fun. I like seeing the fun side of Nintendo. I like seeing the family-friendly side. It's why people buy them. It's why my sister bought one for her kids, because there's a ton to choose from that's appropriate. And then there's stuff for the adults as well. So I think this was a really great showcase and showed off things for a lot of different interests, a lot of different gamers. You'll find something you want to play in this list.
Yeah, I agree. It's like I said, still a exciting time to be involved in the Switch ecosystem, despite the fact that it's been out since 2017, the Nintendo Switch. So that's it for our direct coverage. We've got a few more things to wrap up before we go. I don't think these will be too long, but still some interesting things worth talking about. And so I guess this is our actual news section. Not that there was very much outside of this direct, but one thing we can touch on real quick is that Fire Emblem, the original Game Boy Advance game, is being added to Nintendo Switch Online on June 23rd. So just a few days after release, if you want to check that out. And then this one, let's actually open up a little bit of a conversation about this, because this is a weird situation. Last night, on the eve of a Nintendo Direct, we get our first actual look at Everybody 1-2 Switch in seriously one of the strangest videos I've ever seen. If you haven't seen it yet, it has the horse head man. His name is Horace the Horse, and he's leading this group of I think they said content creators or influencers or something. I have no idea who anyone was in this video at all. No diss to them. I did not know anyone in the video. And it's showing off them playing these games together. And it's an effective trailer in that you get an idea about the sense of how the game play or how the different mini games work, the smartphone integration. It's cool. It's just was such a weird trailer. And I wrote on Twitter that the trailer has this weird dystopian, creepy vibe. I said, this feels like the beginning of a Danganronpa game.
It feels like a death game, right? Like Squid Game or something.
It's like Squid Game in this, Horace here, he's ready to eliminate anyone who doesn't sit down fast enough or whatever.
His name is MC Horace.
MC Horace? Oh, no.
Yeah, man. So good. Of course it is.
So I think the other thing worth pointing out is just that we talked about on the last episode how Nintendo was sweeping this game under the rug by announcing it via tweet on a Thursday night or something like that. And here we go again, where they're choosing to not put this in the Nintendo Direct, a stream that will have millions of viewers. They are saying, yeah, let's not do that. Now, Gene, I want to throw this to you first because, well, did you recently check this game out? Are you allowed to talk about that at all?
No, I didn't check it out at all. So I have been invited to a similar thing. So I wonder if there's going to be like a New York version of this content creator like gathering of everything on Switch or whatever like that.
Sure.
Because once I saw that trailer, I was like, "Holy fuck! I'm glad I didn't go," because I do not want to be seen in that trailer. Imagine if you saw me in that trailer, and I'm just like,
that'd be legendary,
or like jacking off 2 Joy-Cons, like I'm going skiing, Yeah, I'm very, very relieved that I decided not to take the invite, because I don't know what I would do with myself. Yeah, you're absolutely right that the trailer had the air of like a death game. MC Horace himself is so cringe. I don't understand whether I like it or not. All the influencers, I didn't recognize any of them, and I'm not saying that I'm like all up and up on influencers, but I'm pretty good at spotting who's who, and I didn't recognize anybody. And it was interesting because it was like that. It was like they anthropomorphized like 2014, 2013 BuzzFeed articles, and let them loose in this Marriott hotel ballroom.
Yeah, the setting. I get it. They needed a big room. It made sense to do it at a hotel, but it felt a little ornate when they were doing.
That's what added to the death game feel of it, Yeah. It's like MC Horace is like this billionaire who forced all of these other creators to just flagellate themselves in front of him, for his own entertainment.
There's a part where they're running around him in a circle, and he's like, doing this thing where he's like dancing around. I'm like,
it's horrifying.
I got Hereditary vibes in that part.
Yeah, Hereditary, a Requiem for a Dream or something. It's like Nintendo's Darren Aronofsky.
Yeah, exactly. I thought MC Horace was like, okay, now ass to ass. I'm just like, Jesus, MC Horace.
Yeah. This was something else. It's one of those trailers. It's so confusing and weird that I'm very happy that it exists for all the wrong reasons, of course. Which, by the way, I put out my own tweet where I did a recut of part of this trailer, but I put Danganronpa music over it.
Oh man, I need to see that.
It didn't do well at all, and I'm thinking casuals not knowing the Danganronpa lore.
I'll have to retweet it.
Yeah,
maybe my audience will help.
Dude, I would appreciate that. Don't you hate it when you're like, this is a banger tweet. This is a banger meme. And it's not the one that kicks off.
Y'all let it flop. It's too bad.
Sometimes you gotta let it flop. Micah, I know last episode you talked highly of 1-2 Switch. Is this moving the needle? is MC Horace, is he hot?
Okay, no, definitely not. This was a trailer so bizarre that halfway through the trailer, I turned the volume off because I was like, if I'm going to watch the rest of this, it's just got to be silent so I can soak it in. I think what really stands out to me about this is that 1-2 Switch was genuinely something you could play with 2 people and it was fun. What they're highlighting with this game for me is that it looks like you do need like a party for this to be palatable. And I don't think that's good. I don't think it's good that you're selling me on the game of like, here's 100 people playing it. And it's like, well, show me 2 people having fun playing it. Because that was a really big thing of 1-2 Switch was like, no, it really was just fun. You could have, 2 to 4 players, genuinely fun, have some laughs. This game looks like, in order for it to not be like super cringy, that you do need like a whole group of people to laugh with you at it. And I'm not into that.
Yeah, I don't know when
So
the
the
next
fact
time I'm
that
gonna
that's
be
how they're selling
gathering
it,
100 of my friends into a room to play everybody want to Switch.
maybe we play it at the wedding though, right?
Oh.
Since all you need is your
Dude.
smartphone.
Oh, fuck.
Maybe we do that. But
Yeah.
in what other capacity do I have a group like that? I mean, maybe they're thinking graduation parties, stuff like that. But it really
parties
doesn't sell
too,
it on me.
company parties, right?
This
Yeah,
is like
I
the
don't
game
know.
a youth group pastor is like, look, I got the cool new Nintendo game. And then, you actually have the group and you can play it or something like that. And everyone's just absolutely terribly bored.
Yeah, for anyone in college, this is what the dorm room social is going to be.
Yeah.
Everybody gathers once a month to play. Everybody want to Switch.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe if alcohol was involved in a college setting, this game might be a 10.
Yeah,
if you think about it, could
I think
be.
you might be I think you have something there, and maybe that was the intention.
Yeah. How do you feel about this? It has again. We talked about it pretty extensively last week, but with the release of this just really strange trailer, and I think the important. I'd love to hear your thoughts about the sweeping of under the rug of this, saying like, don't worry about it.
It's hilarious.
Don't even think about it.
I mean, it's absolutely hilarious. I mean, I think that's the big story here is that they not only has this so widely aggravated the Nintendo fan base, but Nintendo knows it to the point of having to announce it outside of the Direct because they know the sentiment is you have 40 minutes. You better not waste 30 seconds on this thing. And they know it. And you know what? I think playing along with it and doing it that way is also good for the cringy marketing. It reminds me, we just talked about on Constellation recently, or I talked about it, the Burger King campaign with the creepy king mascot, the sort of live action person with the mask.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of the same thing. It's the live action BoJack Horseman type thing. It's sort of that we know it's weird. We know it's cringy. We know it's not really that funny, and I think kind of selling it on those talking points is really interesting, but I love doing it. It seems like they did it outside of Direct as a clever marketing thing, like where we know we're in on the joke type of thing. Wink, wink, nod, nod, which I friggin' love. And if that's not the case, I like to think of that is the case. It's just funny.
Yeah. I will be getting this game. Now,
me too.
Here's the thing. Do I use the company card to buy it? Just not tell Colin, be like, I'm taking one for the team here. I'm getting it. I've never done that before, but there's nothing stopping me either.
It's only $30, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely only $30. The company should definitely pay for it.
That actually kind of changes the equation a little bit.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. If you actually do have people over, then that's a pretty good deal.
So everybody want to Switch. I got to look up what was the release date on this. Not too far. June 30th. So yeah, I actually, let's see. Our next episode will be so we're not doing this. Oh yeah, we'll be able to talk about everybody want to Switch by next episode. So that'll be fun.
Woo woo.
Now, let's see. We have 2 other things here. We'll do a quick what we've been playing. I don't really have much updates as far as I actually went back to Zelda for a little bit because I just am waiting for Final Fantasy 16, figuring out I feel lost as I'm waiting for 16. So I've been playing Zelda here and there and also hopped back into Sekiro. So that's just a casual. It's funny because this game at this point I've played so many times that I can just casually pick up Sekiro and play through half the game in a sitting, which is nice. I've retained that skill somehow, but it's still pretty hard in some points. But Micah, how's your adventures going in Xenoblade Chronicles?
Oh, it is fantastic.
Mm.
I'm loving the game more as I play it. This game has some really great quality of life, features in it. One of the main ones being that there's a ton of side quests, just an obscene amount of side quests, but the game tracks them in a really useful way.
Mhm.
So you'll have your primary side quest selected, you'll have your, trail on the map showing you where to go. But if you encounter, let's say you need to hunt a certain enemy for another side quest, if you encounter that enemy, the minimap will show you, hey, you need that guy too. And I really appreciate that. It's helped me to level up faster because I'm trying to get side quests out of the way for each area as I go and just be very efficient about that. And also just staying on par with where I should be level wise. So the way the game tracks your side quests is maybe one of the best that I've experienced. Really fantastic. The story is only getting better. I mean, they really lean into helplessness, in terms of these robots that are just indestructible, essentially, and you're trying to figure out how to defeat them. They really go into like a real bleak reality. And the story, the writing is incredible. It's very much not what I expected. And just to say that I didn't know anything about the game, not to say I had low expectations. I just didn't know what I was getting into because I didn't research the game hardly at all. I didn't want anything spoiled given how old it is. So the storyline, incredible. The enemies themselves, like some of them are genuinely scary. I'm a grown woman and I didn't want to approach some of these enemies. I was like, this guy's freaking me out. The voice acting is really good the further I get into the game. So I'm having a great time with it. It's that feeling like time really flies when you're playing it. I can't believe, how many hours I've already put into it. Still in the, earlier chapters because I've been working really heavily on the side quests, of which I think there's like 400, side quests in the game. There's a lot, but it is a clever way to keep you on track with your levels without just, mindlessly grinding and, trying to do battles just for the sake of it. So I appreciate the way that the game is structured, and I'm loving it more and more that I play it. I did, thanks to one of our very special listeners, Sean Mason, I now have a charger for my Game Boy Advance SP.
Oh, cool.
And so I want to start Breath of Fire, finally.
Sweet.
So
Nice.
I have not started yet, but now that I have that charger, she's all charged up. I made sure it worked. I bought that game used and had to delete, the other person's save on it, which was a little sad to do, but, goodbye to those characters that they created. I'm excited to now jump into it myself.
Hell yeah. Gene, I know you've been playing Final Fantasy 16. We talked about that a little earlier, but anything else?
I'm just happy to hear Micah enjoying Xenoblade Chronicles because I would have rated Final Fantasy 16 higher if I didn't already play Xenoblade Chronicles.
Oh.
Everything Final Fantasy 16 tries to do in its story, Xenoblade Chronicles just simply blows it away completely. The voice acting is as good, but like what they do with the genre tropes in role playing like story beats is just so much better than Final Fantasy 16. That said, if you never played any of those games, then FF16 will probably blow you away. But Xenoblade Chronicles is just like part 1, 2, and 3 are just like tiers above FF16 in terms of writing. Gonna try to finally get through Diablo 4. I think that's gonna be the final game of the summer that I do some coverage on. And I think that's about it. I'm gonna try to go back to Street Fighter 6 and just enjoy that for what it is. And the Pikmin games, I'm gonna get into that too. Nice. But also now that I'm free of a lot of obligations, I can finally do Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC and finally finish that story too. So
there you go. You've been wanting to do that for a while, so that's good timing. Dagan, what about you?
Yeah, so continuing to savor Tears. Very casual. Can't even call it a quest at this point. Let's call it a journey. Continuing just to tackle the shrines. That's a strategy that's working for me. And just, finding objects and slowly unlocking abilities and the way that kind of opens up the world more and more. That's been really fun. But I'm really, again, I'm continuing to take my time. There's no sense of urgency whatsoever. I mean, it's a little bit, maybe a little too slow. But that's just working for my schedule right now. And then Final Fantasy 3. Pixel Remaster. I started that the other night. Colin and I continue our march through the first 6 Final Fantasy games, and I'm excited because I'm only one game away from 4 now, which is one of my all-time favorites. So I got to get through Final Fantasy 3. Never played it before, so that's been fun. And then the other two I mentioned, I think last time we did the show, 2 really nice eShop purchases that I was waiting for. Cassette Beasts and Super Dungeon Maker, both awesome games. I wish I had the developer names in front of me. I always like to give those guys their shine. I don't have them, but both games, I'm just getting into both of them, but they're both super fun. Cassette Beasts graphically, and the visual presentation, super, super cool and ambitious. And then Super Dungeon Maker reminds me so much of Link to the Past, which is maybe my favorite Zelda game still, that it's super fun. And again, like Mario Maker meets 16-bit Zelda, which is super fun. And and of course, Street Fighter 6. That's been taking up most of my time. And
nice.
Trying to see if I could get good enough to compete out there online play, but I'm afraid to jump into that because Final Fantasy Street Fighter 5 did not go well for me with competitive play. It was humbling to say the least. So,
yeah, I would never want to play it. Man, the thought of playing a fighting game online is horrifying.
People are so good now. Yeah. It just gets worse. I can't see it ever getting easier. It's only going to get worse.
Definitely. Dagan, we're sticking with you. People thought, Dustin, you have already forgotten about the Dagan opening segment.
Oh.
Get out of here. I haven't forgotten. I just moved it around a little bit for the special Nintendo Direct episode. And instead we're doing Dagan's closing segment to wrap us up and send us home here. So Dag, take it away.
Yeah, no, this works. This dovetails nicely, actually. And I think we were saying before we started rolling today, I think I like the idea of doing some games with you guys next time. But let's just continue in the tradition of a little getting to know you type things with the 4 of us, especially for people to get to know us as Nintendo people. I had a question for you guys that the Direct made me think of, actually. So if you could think of something, think of a game franchise, a game series, a non-Nintendo game series that you could see, it could be anything, that you could see or you would like to see in Nintendo's first party hands. Like if Nintendo could take a game series that's not theirs and make a game, give us an iteration or an offering. And it could be, think of in the capacity of, it could be one of 2 things. Maybe it's a rubbernecking thing where you just want to see this train wreck because this will be a mess. Or maybe it's something that you genuinely think could be good in Nintendo's hands. So I'll pass it around. Michael, we'll start with you ladies first. If you could think of a game series, now it could be anything. It could date back. It could be a PlayStation thing. It could be on any game system, any console. Anything that you would like to see Nintendo take a crack at.
Well, what jumps out at me is a game series that Nintendo has dabbled with, but that I want to actually just see fully brought to the West, which is Seventh Dragon 3. Seventh Dragon 3 Code VFD is my all-time favorite 3DS game. And maybe my favorite JRPG ever. And it's the only one we've ever gotten as a Western release.
Oh.
So what I would really love to see would be for Nintendo of America to just really take hold of that franchise and bring them all to the West, or bring the best ones to the West, because I adored that series. And my hope when it came out was that it was going to sell really well. And like we saw with the Yakuza games, I was hoping it would have a renaissance of now everyone wants these. And I'm very happy with what is happening with the Yakuza games, like Yakuza Ishin getting an English release. This is fantastic news. The games keep making more of them. That's great. But I wanted it to happen with this franchise, and it didn't. So my wish would be if Nintendo was going to take over a franchise completely and bring it over to us here in North America, it would be the Seventh Dragon series, because that Seventh Dragon 3 is just my favorite 3DS game. And I have forever lamented that we never saw more of them. Every time they do a direct, I have this little tiny flame in my heart that says maybe now, maybe now we'll get one. Same as whenever Xbox is a show and I say maybe we'll get another Viva Pinata. We won't. They're not going to do it. I'll probably never get one. Same as Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans, which is a fantastic JRPG. I always hope they'd continue that series and do more Dragon Ball Z, JRPGs, turn-based games. I wanted more of those in the same exact style. We didn't get them here. So that would be my pick of just Nintendo already has a little bit of, connection to that in that this game was already on 3DS. So I want more. That would be my choice for what I'd want them to take over.
I love that. I love holding a torch for something too. I need to have that in my direct. Like what for me, Metroid Prime 4 is just a train wreck at this point. I just want to know what could possibly be happening, but it's not out of honestly passion or need for that game. It's just more of like, what is happening here? It's like a Faces of Death thing. It's like, I just need to see. I shouldn't watch this, but I need to see it. But I like that, having a genuine torch for something that you want to see that there's probably no hope for. I need to have something like that. All right, Mike, a good answer. So, Gene, what do you think? What comes to mind for you?
Immediately, the first thing that comes to mind on a selfish level, and also I'd be interested in this, is I would like to see a Nintendo-made Halo.
Wow.
One, Nintendo has, Nintendo kind of dabbles in like sci-fi stuff, Xenoblade Chronicles, obviously. But that's not a first part. That's not Nintendo made. And seeing what they did with Tears of the Kingdom and the physics there, like it would be really fun to see what new interesting mechanics they would introduce in a Halo game. Because Halo is like one of the premier first-person shooters that did really, really interesting things with the physics too. And also, secondly, like Halo needs a lot of help. The Halo as a series has not had developers that knows what to do with that game and that series at all. And Nintendo at least seems to have a pretty good handle on pretty much all of its properties. So yeah, Nintendo, if you could save Halo, that would be amazing.
That would be an interesting partnership. That would be super. Can you imagine like a blockbuster announcement like that? It would be insane.
That would be insane. Yeah, it's inconceivable. But then again, so was Super Mario RPG back in the day, right? So who knows?
That's true. That's definitely true. Definitely.
And we do know that Nintendo and Microsoft are popular, are like friendly to each other. So, but still, I do think that's a long shot. But I think all of these are anyways. So.
Yeah, and I think the discussion of Nintendo becoming purely software and not, there was that talk a few years back where it was like Nintendo's not going to be part of the hardware conversation anymore, and they're just going to form this new entity of themselves where they produce software for others. I think that's all but died. But it is interesting in a world like that, if that came to fruition and Nintendo kind of shaped itself that way, you could see things happening like that where they would have to just for financial reasons, they would have to open themselves up to considerations like that. But I think the way the world's going now, it's safe to say Nintendo is not going to take on that shape. Dust, what do you think?
I'll keep this simple, and I'm going to change your question a little bit in order to fit my answer. Classic move. I want to see Nintendo partner with From Software to make a cute Souls game. We have Nintendo. Oh, man. They made a shooter with Splatoon. They thought they figured out a way to make a shooter cute and fun. So let's figure out how to make the world's first cute Souls game. And here's the thing. It's got to be cute, but it's still got to be a Souls game, so it can't be easy. Still got to be real hard. I don't know how they're going to make this work. Maybe it's a Mario Souls game, a Zelda Souls game. I'm open for whatever. Though I'm leaning towards something like Mario or Kirby. Something that it just totally does not fit the aesthetic. Or how about this? The traditional aesthetic.
I love that.
Kirby would actually be a good fit because if you know Kirby lore, it gets pretty close to Dark. It's pretty much Dark Souls. It's pretty much Dark Souls.
It gets crazy.
Yeah, it gets really crazy. If you guys want to check out my friend Wooly, he has a video explainer series, a lore explainer series of Kirby called Prepare to what is it? Hold on.
Kirby Prepare to
That sounds amazing.
Die. Oh wait, that's actually
Prepare to high. There you go.
Oh, that's awesome.
So prepare to high. So and then he talks about like the deep, dark, like eldritch, like lore of Kirby. So
that's cute.
A Kirby from Soft game. Oh my god!
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Let's do it.
And Dustin, what you make me think of too was Tunic, because that's a game that from the moment it was announced, I was really hyped on it, and then I saw how difficult it was,
hard.
and I was like, oh, it's not just a cute little fox game.
Yeah.
So we have an example of that could be successful, cute, a game with cute graphics that's pretty difficult. It wasn't for me in the end because I just wanted a cute little fox game, but we have a track record of like that could be a thing.
Let's make it happen. Nintendo, Miyazaki. This is a match. Dude, Miyazaki partnered with Miyamoto.
Oh,
this is
I don't know.
Unbelievable. It's hard to even imagine such a thing.
Because they're so deeply connected that whole Nintendo corporate entity and Studio Ghibli, even if it.
Oh, I was saying FromSoft Miyazaki.
Oh,
another legend named Miyazaki. Hideteki Miyazaki. God. Yeah. But no, Dagan, you know what? Let's bring him in too.
What? Might as well go for broke.
The Miyazakis. That's like the Wachowskis, but the Miyazakis.
I love
the Miyazakis plus Miyamoto.
I mean,
now we're talking.
I can't see how you go wrong.
Wait,
I love what you said.
Maybe it's a Nintendo made with From Software and Studio Ghibli, and this is our Princess Mononoke game.
Oh, all right.
A Souls Princess Mononoke game? Wow.
Dude, that would be... I mean, how could you go wrong? They should get this on the docket. I mean, I love what you said about just kind of having a chibi, super deformed, really cute aesthetic, difficult gameplay, but do you maintain the dark and severe tone of it with the cute aesthetic, though? Right? Like, don't even cross over into a Super Mario like light tone. Keep the dark tone with the cute visuals. That's something that's rarely done because I think it's really hard to pull off. But that would be, I think that would be sick. Yeah,
I think it's a good idea. So Nintendo, you can have that. You can have it for free. Just a little credit might be, just a little name in the credits. Something like that.
Now they'll never do it.
Yeah. So that's it for this episode of Punching Up, coming early and free for everybody. So enjoy it. But here's the thing. If you enjoyed this episode, we do this all through Patreon, patreon.com/laststandmedia. Normally episodes release Tuesday on Patreon at the $5 level, and then for everybody on Friday. But we did this extra special episode immediately after the direct for you. So we would appreciate it. Think about it. Think about patreon.com/laststandmedia. You get early access also to Sacred Symbols. You get early access to Defining Duke. You get extra episodes of those shows. You get Constellation. There's just an entire smorgasbord of things over at patreon.com/laststandmedia. And that's it. So thanks everybody for joining me. Any closing thoughts, Micah?
I'm going to go make a chicken patty and tater tots after
Hell
this.
yeah.
And
I have chicken patties too. I should make, dude, that's a good idea. I like that. Dagan, closing comments.
Are the chicken patties and the tots going to go in the oven on the same plate, on the same pan?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And I got potato bread buns.
Oh, potato bread
deluxe.
Is so good.
My stomach literally just grumbled.
I didn't eat anything today.
I'm starving.
Micah, please feed me too.
Micah. I have friends at a couple of friends at Camelot Software, and I was really hoping for a Mario Baseball announcement. Not because I care about Mario Baseball, but just because I want them to be doing well. But I know they can't tell me what they're ever working on, so I'll be hoping for Mario Baseball in the next direct, just so my friends stay busy over there.
For sure. Gene, closing comments, thoughts, or whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad we did this early. We definitely did this for you all because I think you want our fresh reactions to all of this, and I'm glad we did it because this was a significant one.
Oh yeah.
If I was gonna rate the showcases for the summer, it would probably be honestly, personally, it would be this at the top. And then Xbox and PlayStation. But Xbox did have a good showcase. And objectively speaking, I would rank both of them around the same. But again, maybe this one's still better because this one has solid release dates. This one has games that are coming out real soon. We saw gameplay for every single first party title. So yeah, Nintendo still continues to do right, but by everything. I think the only disappointment was no Zelda HD re-releases. Would have been a nice palate cleanser for Tears of the Kingdom, especially since I love Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, but I would love to just return to like the more linear traditional 3D formula. It would just be cozy, and no Metroid Prime 4. That's still missing. So, but otherwise, great direct, great day.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. This has been super fun doing this, and being able to chat immediately after is really fun. So hope the audience, you guys enjoyed the episode as well. Let us know in the comments what games you enjoyed as well. I always like to see what people are interested in, and we'll be back in a while. Since we're doing this early, we'll be back soon. Just keep an eye out. We'll be there. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time. Punching Up, a Nintendo podcast, is a product of Last Stand Media and Collins Last Stand, LLC, and is proudly recorded in the USA. The show is written and produced by me, Dustin Furman. My co-hosts are Gene Park, Dagan Moriarty, and Micah Watson. The show is edited by associate producer Ben Smith. All of Last Stand's theme music is by Ramon Narvaez. Punching Up, along with the rest of Last Stand Media shows, are fan-funded on Patreon at patreon.com/laststandmedia. The following names are at the producer level on Patreon, our highest tier, and we're grateful for your kind contributions and generosity to our independent endeavor. Thank you.